Welcome back to the channel. This is Trinity Storm and you are watching What If Kid Naruto Met Kami after a brutal attack. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to this channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Konoha no Sato, village concealed in the leaves, is on October 10th. Every year, the village of Konoha hosted this festival. It honored the valiant death of Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage, and the vanquishment of a particular nine-tailed demon known as the Kyubi no Kitsune. Every year was the same: joy, games, laughter, fun, and drinks. But it wasn't for a certain blonde child. 6-year-old Naruto Uzumaki was currently running around as if his life depended on it, which it does. In addition, today is his birthday, which is the day that everyone should celebrate and show him a lot of love. However, it was also the day that gave him nightmares that no one should ever have, much less experience in real life. Naruto screamed, "Please, stop this. What have I done?" as he fled from a group of irate villagers, dodging swords, knives, and even abandoned sake bottles. He was clearly a chunin because of his headband and vest. "Shut up, demon. You know what you did and now we are going to make you pay at last," he said. He produced a kunai from his pouch, to the cheers of the rest of the crowd. Following that, he threw the kunai at Naruto, who was unable to avoid it and was stabbed in the shoulder. The boy fell to the ground in agony, only to be struck by rocks and other objects thrown at him. When the same chunin from earlier stepped forward and performed some hand seals, Naruto attempted to crawl away but was roasted alive by a low-level Kaiden jutsu. The crowd cheered, believing that the demon was receiving what he deserved. The chunin was proud of his accomplishment, and the crowd was happy. Until his skull was pierced by a katana. They attacked a defenseless child, and went against the laws: kill all the civilians and bring the shinobi to Ibiki. Tell him they hurt Naruto and he's got permission to do whatever he wants with them, said Anbu Captain Uchiha Itachi, who snapped his fingers to kill the heroic chunin, leaving the crowd in complete silence. With a nod, the Anbu forces killed all of the civilians in the crowd and unconscioused all of the shinobi to give them to Ibiki later. Itachi approached Naruto's charred body and a tear appeared on his stoic face. "Gomenasai Naruto-kun. I didn't got here in time to prevent this," he said, confirming that Naruto was still alive. "I just hope it's not too late to save your life." He fled immediately. Somewhere. The blonde woke up in a strange place that appeared to be a forest. Confused, the child got up and looked around, attempting to identify the location. "Over here, Naruto," a voice said. Looking around, Naruto found this enigmatic voice. He followed it right away, cautiously assessing whether it was a trap or the only clue he had to his current predicament. The search led him to a lovely clearing in the forest with a small river beside it. There were rocks strewn about and a lot of life, including bunnies, deer, and butterflies, but what really caught his eye was the person in front of him. Her iridescent icy blue eyes, her long blonde hair with blue highlights, her soft, slightly pale skin, and her light blue kimono with darker blue embroidery made her an incredibly beautiful sight. However, what immediately caught his attention were the 9 phoenix-like tail feathers that flowed from behind her and the light blue, tipped golden wings on her back. "Naruto-kun, I'm glad you came, though I wish it was in better circumstances," she said softly and apologetically as she beckoned him closer. Naruto simply stood there, trying to comprehend what was happening. "Naruto-kun, my name is Kami." She nodded, but Naruto interrupted her with a loud, "What, Kami? Sama? The Kami? Sama? Then does this mean I'm dead? If so, what am I doing here? Am I not supposed to go to Makai? Or perhaps you came to guide me there yourself?" he asked. Before he could say anything more, she interrupted him, asking, "Wait, Naruto-kun, why do you think you belong in hell?" with concern. "Well, everyone called me a demon, and a murderer. I assumed I was in fact one, and since I'm dead it means I go back to hell," he said while staring at the ground. "I.e. Naruto-kun, you are not a demon, far from it, you're actually above any angel I could ever make," she said, shaking her head and grabbing his shoulders to get his attention. This caused Naruto to raise an eyebrow. "Listen, Naruto-kun, as I was saying before, my name is Kami, Uzumaki Kami. I am your ancestor Naruto-kun." Naruto's eyes widened like plates, but nonetheless. "I am here to tell you this. You have a bloodline of sorts. It comes from your mother's family, though your bloodline hasn't been activated in over 1,000 years. It's a bloodline called Vessel of Chaos. Kyoshu no Fun. It's not so much a bloodline as it is a marker. It marks whoever is destined to be the next deity." Confused, he said, "Deity? What do you mean, Kami? Sama?" You see Naruto-kun, when the one true God created the universe and its inhabitants, he was weakened and fell to a deep slumber. Since he couldn't watch over the humans, he created deities, beings of infinite power who wielded it to watch over and protect his creations. But seeing as it was too much power, he made a few rules that should be followed. He made it so only a few chosen by himself could be the deity, and only one ruled at a time. Though a little perplexed, Naruto listened and partially understood the story. Then, Kami.ne, you were a chosen one and there were other gods before you? Naruto asked. Yes, Naruto.kun, there were many gods before me and many more will come, though my time as a god is probably the shortest yet I've only ruled for 1,500 years, she said, smiling slightly at the .ne part. Ooh, but you look so young and pretty, Naruto said, making a face. Kami chuckled as the kid smiled in front of her. Indeed I do, Naruto.kun. You see, we deities become ageless when we rise to the throne. We are beyond the concept of youth, old, male, female, even size is meaningless to us. Anyway, as I was saying, I'm the one deity who has ruled the less amount of time. The previous deity Ball Senpai ruled for over 3 times that. Naruto made the face once more but said nothing. Anyway, Naruto.kun, you were chosen by the Great One as the next in line to become a deity, but you're still young and will need help as your powers awaken. Unfortunately, I am forbidden to help you or modify the current of events that happen in the human world, though I can influence it. Right now you must rest, for you were nearly killed today, but soon you shall meet the one person who will be with you forever to guide and help you in any way she can. But Kami.ne, who was this Ne-chan? Where can I find her or how will she recognize me? Naruto asked, becoming agitated. Kami laughed again at the blonde child, saying, she's been with you since the day you were born, Naruto.kun, and she'll be by your side until you pass your title to the next deity. She goes by the title of Benihime Kitsune, the Kyubi no Kitsune. Naruto.kun, it's time you wake up. The Hokage and a few others are very worried right now. You'll wake up in a hospital bed with most of your wounds healed. Goodbye, Naruto.kun. I'll talk with you later. Kami interrupted the little blonde boy before he could ask anything. October 11th. Private Hospital Wing, Konoha no Sato. When the young boy opened his eyes, he was startled to see white marble and translucid tubes along with the Hokage's relieved and somewhat tearful face. Hokage. Gigi, he said with a feeble smile, I'm glad to see you. The old Hokage smiled warmly at the blonde, saying, Hi Nato, I'm glad to see you too. He took away most of the medical equipment and helped Naruto sit up straight. Feeling better? He asked, just a little sore Gigi. You sure heal fast, you know? Not anyone can take a fireball dead on and be just a little sore the next day, Naruto said smilingly. Hokage. Gigi. He opened his mouth to say, Naruto, about yesterday. But Naruto cut him off, saying, Gigi, I want to talk to you about some things, among them, the Kyubi no Kitsune. The Hokage's eyes widened and he muttered a curse. Darn. One of those villagers or shinobi must have told him something. Later, I'll have to instruct Ibiki to lift all restrictions on his search. Interrogation Department. Hokage Tower. Ibiki.san. EHM. Why are you smiling? Asked a fellow kunoichi as he was briefing the captured shinobi. Oh, nothing important. Remember how I said I would torture them with a slow and painful death? The kunoichi nodded. Well, forget about the death part. I have the feeling I have permission to keep them alive for a long time. Ibiki's sudden, unjustified smile chilled the bones of even his partners. The private section of Konoha's hospital. Naruto looked at the elderly Hokage and said, Gigi. I know the Kyubi is inside me, what I want to know is how she got there. The Hokage smiled nervously and said, you know the story, he was defeated by the Yondaime Hokage 6 years ago. The Hokage started to say, Naru, but stopped when he realized something. Did you just say, she? Naruto nodded. The Kyubi is a female? That's news to me. He simply waved his hand for the Hokage to continue. Oh yeah. EHEM. Naruto. The Kyubi wasn't killed 6 years ago. There is no way to kill an immortal being, so the Yondaime did the next best thing. He sealed the fox into a newborn baby boy, giving up his own life in the process. After listening intently with no visible reaction, the old man concluded that Naruto was probably holding back from his emotions. The Yondaime wanted you to be seen as a hero by the village. Sad it is that his wishes weren't respected, the old man thought. Naruto then burst out laughing. The Hokage was confused when Naruto calmed down and smiled, saying, ha 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 hey. Well, so much for respecting a dead man's wishes, ne Gigi? He had been expecting something like rage, anger, sadness, or something like that. And Naruto? Aren't you angry? He asked reluctantly, raising a brow. Angry? Why would I be? The fourth was an idiot in believing I would be treated as a hero, and yes, I should be angry, if not to the village, then at least to the fourth. He closed his eyes and grinned again. But I am not. I understand the fourth did so to protect his beloved village. He didn't hate me since he wanted me to be a hero, and the village are fools, but I do not blame them. It is human nature to hate and fear what you don't understand. They see me as the fox instead of her prison, though if what I know about her is true, then I am curious as to know why she attacked the village. The Hokage raised an eyebrow. What do you mean, Naruto? Naruto looked at him and sighed a little. Gigi, I'll tell you later, but first I want to ask you for a favor. The Hokage was a little taken aback. What is it, Naruto? Naruto breathed a little. I want to be trained as a ninja. The Hokage tilted his head slightly. But Naruto, we already had this conversation. I'll put you in the academy in 2 years. Naruto shook his head. No Gigi, I want to be trained starting now. Why Naruto? The Hokage asked. Because ninja training would help me avoid this situation in the future. Plus if I'm correct, no one will correctly teach me anything. More likely than not they'll sabotage me. The Hokage nodded in understanding. Very well Naruto, I agree as long as you promise me you won't hurt any villager. The Hokage replied. I won't Gigi, I promise, calmly replied Naruto. Very well Naruto, I can't teach you myself out of lack of time, but I'll try and find a teacher willing to tutor you, he replied. The Hokage, taken aback, said to the young Anbu, but Crow, what about your job as Anbu? If it's okay with you, Hokage. Sama, I would like to ask for a time off. You can give me a Junin rank, and I could take a long-term mission to train Naruto. Hokage. Sama, interrupted Uchiha Itachi, who was quietly observing their exchange from a chair in the corner of the room. The Hokage sang and asked, why do you want to train Naruto? Itachi stood up and replied. I always found the fact that the village didn't respect the fourth's wishes something cruel. I myself have befriended Naruto as both Crow and myself. Itachi took off his mask and replied, I honestly doubt there's someone more qualified to train him than myself. Besides, finding another willing shinobi of trust would take a while, and I am here already. What do you think Naruto? The Hokage asked, taking a puff from his pipe. It would be awesome if Itachi.ni trains me. Naruto grinned and said, very well Crow. I mean Uchiha.san. You are hereby reinstalled as an elite Junin and assigned the long-term mission of training Uzumaki Naruto in the ways of the shinobi. Come to my office later to fill out paperwork. See you later Naruto. I have to leave, the Hokage said, then put on his hat and walked out of the room. Thanks for offering Itachi.ni. Naruto replied. It's okay Naruto.kun. I think you have amazing potential anyway. I wouldn't want anybody else training you. What do you say if after we sign you off the hospital I treat you to some ramen? Naruto laughed hysterically. Woohoo ramen. Thanks for offering Itachi.ni. Naruto replied. It's okay Naruto.kun. I think you have amazing potential anyway. I wouldn't want anybody else training you. What do you say if after we sign you off the hospital I treat you to some ramen? Naruto laughed hysterically. Woohoo ramen. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this decision would be regretted by Uchiha Itachi. Konohagakure no Sato, Food District. As they made their way to the ramen stand he had heard Naruto enjoyed, Itachi told an overly jittery Naruto, Naruto.kun, slow down a bit, we'll get there just be patient. Naruto had already placed his order and outpaced the Roadrunner when Itachi entered the stand. While Naruto was happily swallowing the soup, Itachi sat down next to him and waited for the waitress to turn to him and order, there you go. Naruto.kun. The first plate of miso ramen. Ayame grinned and turned to Itachi, saying, and what can I get you? Ayame was staring at Itachi in complete terror, and she wasn't alone. Itachi was also staring at her with a similar expression, and their cheeks both turned slightly pink. After glancing at the teenagers once more, Naruto and Tucci exchanged a twisted smile that would make the Grinch blush. Itachi said nervously, yeah we do, I'll make it myself, Wait a minute, before rushing to the back of the store to make the soup. You know son, she doesn't have a boyfriend, Tucci said, and neither does Itachi.ni have a girlfriend, Ni-chan. Naruto, Itachi, and Ayame broke their trance and blushed redder than a tomato. Before Itachi realized that Naruto had 10 empty ramen bowls in front of him, he said, by Kami. How long was I out of it? Which made Tucci laugh even harder. Only a minute or so kid, but my boy Naruto here is a ramen vacuum, he said, grinning and patting Naruto on the head. That day, Itachi decided that the occasion on which he would treat Naruto to ramen again would be extremely rare, even though he would occasionally visit the ramen stand to eat kitsune udon. After an hour, Konoha's Hokage Tower. As they entered the Hokage's office, Itachi said, "Okay, Naruto-kun, enough with the laughter. Sorry, Itachi.ni, but when I shoved you and you kissed her, both of your faces were priceless, and I swear that Nichan won't wake up for a while hee." The old man Tucci was laughing his ass off, Naruto said before sprinting over to embrace the Hokage. He walked to the door and used a silence jutsu, saying, "Now that this room is sealed from prying ears and eyes, Naruto, would you mind explaining to me the real reason for your sudden petition for being trained?" The old Hokage snapped his fingers, and 4 Anbu appeared at his side. "Leave us alone. This is a private matter," the Hokage said, and the Anbu vanished in a swirl of leaves. After straightening up, Naruto responded, "Gigi, I died last night, literally, and I met Kamisama." The Hokage and Junin in attendance were silent as Naruto described his discussion with the deity the previous evening. The blonde shook his head slightly when they said, "You ain't kidding, aren't you, Naruto?" Naruto clarified, "She said I was to be the next god and the one that would help me would be the Kyubi, and that she was inside me since I was born. That's how I knew about it." "I see. Well, in that case I suppose it's best if we follow Kamisama's wishes. Itachi, I want you to take Naruto out of the village so he can try and make contact with the fox. If anything should happen, I trust you to take care of him. Don't hesitate to ask for help, alright?" The Hokage smoked a little from his pipe. "Itachi, I want you to take Naruto out of the village so he can try and make contact with the fox. If anything should happen, I trust you to take care of him. Don't hesitate to ask for help, alright?" Itachi nodded. "Hi Hokage. Sama, let's go, Naruto-kun." Naruto said, "Gigi, I want to talk to you later about my mother." So the next god, huh? I knew something grand was in Naruto's future, but who would have thought it would be this big? Nay? Minato, Kushina? The Hokage asked, grinning and sighing as he gazed through the window at the Hokage monument. He then proceeded to his desk and started his paperwork. "Let's see, a petition to execute Naruto. Denied." He signed it. "A petition to exile Naruto. Denied." Sigh. "I wish they stopped sending this crap." He stamped it once more. "A petition to adopt Naruto by the Inuzuka clan. Denied." Sigh. "I wish I actually could approve this." He was aware that the council opposed Naruto's adoption, even though some ninja clans, including the Inuzuka, Nara, Akamichi, and Yamanaka, requested to adopt him on a monthly basis. The Hyugas also attempted to adopt him once or twice a year, but the council's majority, that is, the civilian portion, opposed this. His paperwork continued as he sighed, "Naruto, if only I could, I would even adopt you myself." The following day at Konoha's main gate, when the little blonde approached him, Itachi said, "Naruto-kun, are you ready?" "Hi Itachi.ni, let's go." Itachi nodded and walked to the gate. "Hey Itachi, what's going on? Haven't seen you around lately. If you're leaving the village, you need to tell me your reason for leaving and show me an ID. You know the drill. And did you know you have the little filth following you?" Uchiha Shisui said, hushed to avoid Naruto hearing. Even though he wanted to strike his best friend, Itachi said impassively, "Yes, Shisui, I am aware that Naruto-kun is with me. I'm leaving the city to train him per the Hokage's orders, so that's why. As for identification and confirmation, here's the scroll with the Hokage's signature." "No need Itachi, just go through the gate. Good luck with the baggage," Shisui said with a smug grin. "Naruto-kun, this should be far enough. You can now try and contact the fox." Naruto nodded. "I'll teach you how to meditate so you can enter your subconscious. Here, sit like I am." Itachi simply walked through the gates with Naruto and instructed him to climb his back. Naruto followed this instruction, and Itachi started jumping from branch to branch into the forest until they arrived at a small meadow a few miles from the village. After a few instances of falling asleep and becoming impatient, Naruto was able to focus and meditate properly. He felt as though his body was light, his breath was clear, and the breeze was soothing, and this continued until his world turned black. Naruto's mindscape. When Naruto opened his eyes, he saw that his surroundings had changed. He was in some sort of sewer, with a wet floor and big pipes covering the roof. He wandered around aimlessly until he heard what sounded like whimpering, and he followed the sounds until he entered a room that was different from the others. The enormous cage in front of him, with its enormous iron bars that seemed to be held together by a large piece of paper for the kanji word, seal, on it, and the sobbing girl behind it, caught his attention despite the room's lack of pipes and the floor being submerged in about an inch of water. Bewildered, he thought, the air smells salty, and to confirm his suspicions, he tasted the water. He was standing it was tears, For what duration has she been crying? He was a little worried that she would rip him to pieces as he went into the bars, but when he saw that she was crying, he thought, screw that, I'm going. He put a hand on her shoulder and asked, "Hey, are you alright?" The girl gave a little yelp before quickly turning her head to face the source of the voice. Even though her face was scarred and reddened from crying, Naruto still thought she was more angelic because of her long crimson red hair, her pale complexion that gave her an unearthly beauty, and her crimson color eyes that seemed to glitter. He also noticed that she had 9 red tails running around behind her, a red kimono with a black lining, and fox-like red ears on top of her head. Before asking, "Are you Naruto?" she whimpered a little. Naruto nodded, and she started crying again. I'm S. Sorry, so sorry, she cried. Naruto lost all sense of reason and went into the cage to hold her whimpering form. "Why are you crying? What are you apologizing for?" he asked her. Whimpering as she was comforted by Naruto's grasp, she said, Because I'm the reason they hurt you. The reason they hate you and wounded you. I am the Kyubi no Kitsune, and I'm so sorry for what I've caused you." She was extremely perplexed by his statement. So what? You should be hating me, not holding me, she replied firmly. "I see no reason to. It wasn't your fault that they attacked me but their own. Plus you regret it, so I won't hold it against you. As for you being the Kyubi, well, that much was obvious considering your assets," he said while lightly tracing her ears. How could he not despise her, she wondered. He should be strangling her now after all the beatings and glares she saw from the few memories she had access to of him. When he gently traced her ears, she started purring. "Are you purring?" he asked with a smile. "Yes." "Shut up." With a gentle tap on his shoulder, she said, releasing all of the tension in her voice. Looking down, she said, "I'm sorry, but I usually see most of your memories but not all of them. It's generally something bad, so as long as I can, I block them." Naruto grinned and said, "I feel like you don't know what has happened to me in the last 2 days." He held her again and said, "Kyubi-san. It's alright, look at them." She was shocked, but, and said, "Look at them, please." After giving it some thought, she chose to look at his memories, expecting the same old horrible things that had happened to him on his birthday, but she wasn't ready for what happened in those memories. She was shocked to learn that she was sealed inside the next deity and that she was supposed to help him and guide him. Of course, she would have done so anyhow, but the fact that it happened in those circumstances made it seem unbelievable. The story of a 9-tailed fox with immense power taking the form of a 6-year-old human girl and being sealed inside a boy is still amazing, but it was difficult to believe. "You mean the new deity? What's up with you being the demon overlord? Based on your appearance, I'd say you're not much older than myself, unless you're like Kami.ne, she said, and he nodded. "I guess that makes me a god's trainer. I'm pretty darn cool then," she smiled, and Naruto burst out laughing. "Ageless?" did Naruto ask. "All right. I am ageless, but I am about as old as I appear now. Unlike humans, demons are born with full power, so I was given the title of Demon Overlord because I was born with the most power. However, I was bored and frustrated after 2 years in the palace, so I decided to explore the human realm. What I didn't anticipate, though, was encountering a man wearing a strange spiral orange mask and a black hooded cloak with red clouds inside. I remember staring into his red eye, and then..." The red-haired girl replied, Nothing. I just felt angry, and the next thing I knew I was inside you." "All right. It doesn't really explain much, but at least now I know you weren't attacking the village on purpose," Naruto said, smiling warmly at the vixen. Her face blushed slightly as she realized their situation, and she hurried to her feet and exclaimed, "Hey! Anyhow, what are you doing on this side of the seal? Did you not worry that I might murder you or something?" "Well, the thought did cross my mind for about half a second, but when I saw you crying I saw it's screw that, and rushed here," she said to the blonde boy who was getting up from the floor. He shrugged. "Well, kid, either you have big balls or are an absolute idiot. Anyway, I like you," she said, impressed that no one had sacrificed their personal safety for a crying girl who might as well be Satan herself. "Anyway, do you know how to harness your chakra?" she asked with a smile. She crossed her fingers in a well-known pattern, and he shook his head. "Well, go back to the real world and ask Itachi to teach you how to. Then I want you to make this hand seal. Then focus your chakra and yell, Kagebunshin no Jutsu, shadow clone technique," he said, and Naruto nodded. "Well, only a query. How can I get back?" "Look over there, Naruto," she said, pointing to the wall, and he promptly followed her instructions. Then, She struck him in the back of the head with a sandal, and he poofed away, saying, "You just needed to break your concentration." Her lips curled into a mischievous smile, and she realized her predicament and said, "By Kami. Cry out a river, you say." Back in the meadow with Itachi. When Naruto opened his eyes a little and looked around, he noticed that it was already getting dark, which surprised him a little because they had left the gates at noon. He turned to see Itachi approaching a small campfire from the river carrying a bag of fish, but then he saw his blonde friend awake and exclaimed, "Naruto-kun. You're back," he said, looking slightly surprised. "I went ahead and set up the campsite because you were gone for about 4 hours. What happened? Have you encountered the Kyubi?" When he asked, Naruto nodded. "Yeah, I met her," Naruto said, "and she told me a few things, including to ask you if you could teach me how to use my chakra." "Very well, Naruto-kun, pay attention. First, you must know that chakra is power. Created by mixing 3 types of energy inside you, your physical power, your mental power, and your will power. They circle through you and mix together through hand seals. This is the tiger seal and the most common for drawing out chakra. Try feeling the 3 energies within you and imagine them mixing in your stomach," Itachi said, setting the grill and setting the fish in them before approaching Naruto and standing in front of him. Naruto nodded and followed instructions, feeling all 3 and imagining mixing them. "Do you sense the energy that developed now?" Naruto nodded and formed the tiger hand seal, saying, "Now take that energy and release it, imagine it as it envelops you." He could feel the power coursing through him like a flame as he did so. Itachi was a little proud of Naruto because he was surprised that he had mastered the concept of chakra and successfully released it on his first attempt. However, he was astounded by the amount of chakra the boy emitted. It was similar to what a Junin ninja would release in the middle of a battle, and it was his chakra, not the fox's. He also noticed that Naruto's chakra was a sight to behold. Normal chakra was typically blue or green if it was sufficiently filtered. Demonic chakra was known to be red, according to library data. Summons and other supernatural beings had yellow chakra. Itachi.ni, did I do it right? Naruto knew he did it correctly, but he still wanted to ask him. At his nod, Naruto grinned widely, cool. "Hey, Kyubi.san told me to try this as soon as I could, stand back a little." The Uchiha arched an eyebrow, but took a step back anyhow. Naruto summoned his chakra once more, much faster this time, and crossed his fingers in the hand seal that Kyubi had taught him. Itachi identified the seal and watched intently. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. A column of white smoke encircled Naruto as he yelled, and when the smoke cleared, the Kyubi no Kitsune, in all her red-headed splendor, appeared in front of him. Itachi arched an eyebrow at the new redhead in front of him. She appeared to be a year or 2 older than Naruto. For a brief moment, Itachi questioned whether this was the Kyubi no Kitsune. "No, I doubt it," he shrugged, and then the girl exclaimed, "Holy shit. That was quick. Naruto. You're a jerk." She said that before lunging into a bone-crushing embrace with the slack-jawed blonde. Nani? How? I just mixed a bit of my chakra with my consciousness in the batch you used to create it, and then hanged it into this form," the blonde said, stuttering slightly. "This is a Kage Bunshin Naruto. A clone with a physical body, and I can't believe it worked, though I was kinda making shit up on my way." Even though he was a little perplexed, Naruto dismissed it, saying, "Oh well, at least you can train me better than I imagined, Benihime." That title, Benihime, Kyubi, etc., bothers me. I can't handle a lot of formality, which is why I fled the demon realm. Damn it, even my father called me by title. Just call me Naruto. My real name is Rei, Akaisora Rei, she said. Naruto nodded and smiled. Okay, Rei. Chan. Itachi became slightly agitated, but he was laughing uncontrollably on the inside, saying, "Wait. Ha ha ha, this is the Kyubi no Kitsune. What kind of supreme evil being takes the disguise of an innocent little girl? Anyway, Naruto-kun, now that I'm out here, it's time to begin your training," she said in a sickly sweet voice. However, both men were visually gulped at this. Oh shito shit. And Naruto kept thinking, shudder. Poor Naruto-kun. I take pity on your poor fucked up soul, my little friend, despite Uchiha Itachi. Naruto. Rei, screamed Uchiha Itachi as he chased, kunai in hand, a laughing blonde and his red-headed companion. Come back here. Oh no. As they hid in the woods, he screamed once more. That was fantastic. Haha, Rei, I'm amazed that we were able to accomplish that. Naruto laughed. I told you, didn't I? Stay with me, and we can play some hilarious practical jokes. Naruto grinned and replied, that's a special seal I designed a while ago. Until we remove it, he will have crimson hair. Rei grinned back. Itachi's hair won't return to normal for a while, hee. Naruto had made a wonderful friend in Rei, despite the fact that she literally drove him to the bone during his physical training. Itachi continued to teach him about chakra and hand seals, even teaching him a basic academy jutsus called kawarimi, which he would later regret when Naruto used it to play practical jokes on him. They had managed to hide among the woods and could still hear Itachi yelling about his new hair color. "Hey Rei, if it's okay with you, may I ask how your life is going?" Naruto asked, scratching his cheek. "Well, inside my head. There isn't much room in there, to be honest. I hate that. No, it's because of the seal. The cage is small so it'd be uncomfortable to be in my fox form. So I take this one, though still not very spacious, and your head is creepy," Rei said, interrupting Naruto. After a little moaning, Naruto thought, "Hey Rei-san, I think I got an idea." "What is it, Naruto?" He dispelled Rei's clone with his foxy smile and meditated as Itachi had instructed him to do. After some time, he found himself in the well-known mental sewers. "The cage is here now. Right here," he said as he reached the cage and its prisoner, Naruto. "What does this signify? Why are you here, and why did you reject me?" asked the girl in the cage as a smiling approached the paper in the gate. The paper was about his size and had the kanji for seal written in red. Naruto's sweat dropped at this. "This is the seal the fourth designed. Why would he put a piece of paper like this in my head after all that spiraling nonsense in my body? He's a fool. At the very least, he ought to have written it in orange." The redhead muttered, "Look who's talking. Now, could you tell me what you're trying to do here?" Naruto merely grinned and remarked, "What a word of coincidence. Pull, that is." Before Rei could know what he was talking about, Naruto grabbed the corner of the paper and pulled it off the gate. "Naruto." "No," Rei screamed before losing consciousness, and the last thing she saw was Naruto being struck by a powerful red chakra wave. "Oh no, where am I?" groaned Rei as she woke up holding her head. Half a second passed before she realized something. Naruto. "Where are you?" Naruto, concerned, she said. "Naruto." She frantically scanned the unfamiliar forest. A calm voice boomed around her, sounding eerily familiar, but she was unable to identify it. "Who is it?" "Rest assured. Akaisora-san. Naruto-kun is okay. And so are you. Where have you gone?" She screamed before the voice replied, "Gladly Benihime Kitsune." Suddenly, the surroundings changed. A meadow appeared in front of her, and a female figure with icy blue eyes and golden blue wings appeared in a blinding light over a rock. "Kamisama," Rei said, "there's no need to bow before me, princess. I should be the one bowing at you in gratitude, for you're the one who is looking after my precious heir." Before bowing at her, Kami grinned and shook her head slightly. "I am here to explain you what happened," Kami said, adopting a serious and appropriate regal stance. Rei nodded, wondering what had happened, and she focused on what she had said. "Naruto heard you mutter about the piece of paper that was the real seal inside his mid and he got an idea. He knew breaking a seal could stabilize it and bring about the destruction of the involved parts, but he thought that if he could just remove it, instead of breaking it, nothing would happen, and in theory it was right. But the amount of chakra that you had hit him as soon as he removed the seal and it knocked him conscious and you unconscious. How in the world did Naruto find out about seals? And how could he decide to take such a dangerous step if he... It's because of that. He knew you'd be too worried it would fail and wouldn't let him do it," Kami interrupted. The knowledge came to him in a flash, which is a random flash of knowledge from either this or another world and time. It happened to him in the form of dreams before, but now, since he unlocked his chakra, he has them while conscious. The flash this time contained basic knowledge of sealing, and he thought about the rest. He's a smart child. Please take care of him, princess. Now I think someone is calling you." The forest world then faded to black. Yamada Forest is located 4 miles south of the main gate of Konoha. When she came back to, the light was so bright that she could hardly see a shadow above her. "And" sounded in the background, and then, "I-chan" sounded again, this time more clearly and powerfully, as the shadow transformed into a spiky silhouette that said, "Rei-chan." It's Naruto's voice. Rei thought and blinked to adjust to the light. Before her was Naruto, his expression full of relief. "Rei-chan," he said, "I'm so glad you're okay." Before giving her a tighter hug that made her cheeks flush. I was really anxious, but then Rei recalled something. In that sweetly evil voice, she whispered, Naruto.kun, in his ear, causing Naruto to break out in cold sweats and his eyes to widen as he realized his impending doom. What the hell were you thinking, you moron? She said before throwing Naruto against a rock with a flick to the forehead. Itachi, who was besides them, hair still red, widened his eyes like a cartoon before trying to restrain Rei. Wait a Kaisora.san. Don't harm Naruto. He can't heal the way he used to, he spoke hastily before Rei released his grip. You mean he's incapable of healing? Exactly what I said, you're not inside him anymore. Your chakra can't heal him like before, she said to Itachi. There was a brief pause before she exclaimed, crap? Naruto? It's okay. Rei. Chan, I'm fine. Just a little less indestructible than before, Naruto said, shrugging with his foxy grin. Rei moved faster than Itachi could see, and in half a blink, she was by Naruto using healing jutsu on him. They chuckled a little before nightfall and Naruto fell asleep after Rei grunted and gave him a gentle tap on the shoulder after he was healed. So, are you now free? Yes, it looks like Naruto's earlier stunt worked. I'm out of the seal and he lost every bit of my chakra and its healing benefits, she said, pointing to a small scar on Naruto's arm, to Itachi, who had brought some branches for the fire. Itachi let out a sigh, saying, it will be difficult to explain this to the Hokage. In addition, how will we transport him to the village at this point? The villagers will attempt to harm him because he won't heal, and they'll be successful this time. If you try to shield him, it's okay, but you'll probably blow Konoha to pieces, he explained. Non-taken, you're right, I would probably leave Konoha in pieces, She thought for a moment before an idea struck her. That's it. It could work. What might work? She exclaimed. Asked Itachi. It would be difficult at first because I would have to pump roughly 3 taels of power for his body to recognize the chakra. We'll need a barrier and an open field. If I can pump some of my demonic chakra back into Naruto, I could reactivate the part of him that healed his wounds and I could boost his own chakra, Rei explained. The grasslands are about an hour east, so that should work for open space, but for the barrier. I will make the barrier, don't worry about that, but still I'll need you to keep watch so no one interrupts. Itachi nodded, emphasizing his point by using his Dojutsu to keep you and Naruto.kun undisturbed. Pale, Rei said, Those eyes. What? Itachi raised a brow. Red. The same. Those are the same red eyes I saw the night before I was inside Naruto, he inquired. What? She exclaimed, her eyes wide. Then you noticed a Sharingan, indicating that Uchiha was in charge of. No, who would? Did you see anything else the man had so I could identify him? I need to look into this, a Kaisora.san, he said. How? Wait, the Mangekyo Sharingan. Of course, I thought it was a myth, but if it's true, then someone who possesses that might actually be able to put the Kyubi in a genjutsu, then, no. I must maintain my composure and thoroughly investigate this. Only what I told you, the orange swirling mask, the black cloak with red clouds, and his eyes changed a bit before everything went black, changed. In the process, I'll make sure nobody bothers you. Itachi nodded, it's okay. The Hokage told me to take as long as necessary to help Naruto, but I would prefer to return sooner so I can look into it. Rei simply nodded, deciding it was best to let Itachi handle his affairs. One thing though, when it's done, Naruto will most likely remain unconscious for a couple of days, so we might stay here a bit longer. You should take it easy tomorrow, Itachi. How about you, a Kaisora.san? Oh, don't be stupid. We demons don't need to sleep. We just do it to kill time when we're bored. Well, alright, then. After Itachi said good night, Rei entered Naruto's tent and yelled, tomorrow is a big day. Thank you for freeing me, Naruto-kun. I'll protect you forever, and as fox demons never go back on our word. She then kissed Naruto on the cheek before leaving to stand watch outside. Naruto had some very lovely dreams that night, one of which featured his red-headed friend. Itachi woke Naruto up in the morning, saying, Itachi.ni. Long Yan, hello. How are you today? When Naruto noticed that his brother figure was a little anxious, Itachi grinned and shook his head. Naruto.kun, it's nothing. Today is a big day, and we're going to try something that could make you much stronger. Would you be up for that? Knowing exactly how to treat his little blonde friend, Itachi said. Nice. Will you teach me a martial art or something? Like Ni.san. I want to spit fire. Naruto exclaimed, erasing any remaining signs of his drowsiness in favor of the idea of growing stronger. No Naruto, I'm not teaching you anything, it's a little experiment Akaisora-san wants to try with you, and if you want I can teach you how to spit fire like me later, Itachi said, grinning at Naruto's reaction. Naruto grinned broadly and exclaimed, nice, Ray-chan, where are you? I would like to ask her what I need to do. Before Itachi could respond, Naruto said as he quickly changed into his clothes and left the tent. Ray was eating a roasted bunny by the fire when Naruto discovered her. Good morning, sleepyhead. Did you have a nice dream? With a sly smile, Ray said, then took another plate, tossed a piece of rabbit into it, and threw it to Naruto, who caught it with some difficulty. Yes, it's a pretty cool one, even though I no longer remember it, Naruto said with a big smile. Ray and Itachi, who just came with a scroll in hand. Sweat dropped at Naruto's carefree attitude. Ladies and gentlemen, Naruto Uzumaki for you, thought Ray and Itachi. Anyways, Ray-chan, what will you do to strengthen me later? What must I do? Is it a top secret training program or something? Naruto exclaimed eagerly. In fact, I'm going to give you some of my chakra so you can heal as fast as before plus have some of it, Ray said with a smile. She got up and walked away, followed by Itachi once he extinguished the fire. Naruto stood up after his eyes widened, saying, your chakra? Then I will have your superpowers and strength, and like you, I'm going to be really cool. Cheers. As he followed them and consumed the meat, Naruto remarked, but where are we heading? The compliments from Naruto caused Rei's cheeks to flush a little, but she still said, not that much Naru-kun. Just enough so you can heal like before, maybe a bit faster. She walked beside Naruto, slowing down to his pace, and added, and we are going to the grasslands because we'll need a big open space to do what it's necessary. When Naruto thought, hey, since when am I Naruto-kun? Itachi thought he heard something click in his head. He said, you don't call me that unless you're angry. Rei's only answer was a shrug, followed by, since I became Ray-chan and I don't call you that just when I'm angry I just do it sweetly which satisfies my psychotic side. This seemed to satisfy Naruto, as he simply shrugged and continued to eat the piece of rabbit in his hand. Itachi gave his little brother a small smile and said a little prayer, not only for Naruto's life to be happy going forward, but also for his own brother Sasuke to become like Naruto. They finally arrived at the grasslands after walking in near silence for a few hours. Because of Naruto's sporadic remarks and inquiries about what would happen, Itachi stayed behind, and Ray pulled him farther until he was hardly visible from a distance. She then carried Naruto to the ground, where he quickly complied and asked, nay, Ray-chan, is this going to hurt you? I mean, I'll be taking your chakra, he inquired, sounding a little worried. She briefly recalled how Naruto had hugged her in his mind, how he seemed to forgive her for everything, how he set her free, or how he called her name when she was unconscious. How he seemed to hold her in such high regard, and how she enjoyed playing with him and pulling practical jokes on Itachi as well. This caught the demoness off guard, as no one seemed to be worried about her prior to entering the human realm. The demoness smiled warmly and shed a small tear, saying, no Naruto, it won't hurt me, though it will make me slightly dizzy by the time it's over, it will be nothing that a good night's sleep won't heal. When Naruto saw Rei's warm smile, he was astounded by how much brighter she seemed to be. He noticed a tiny tear in her eye, and for a brief moment, he thought something might be wrong. In the end, though, the tears she shed were happy ones, and they only made her glow even brighter. He knew that this was a happy tear, and he silently vowed that one day he would figure out a way to make her smile like this again. Yep, Ray-chan, no doubt about it, you're one of my precious people now. Good night, Naruto. I'll need you to be unconscious now. Ray said before knocking him out with one of her tails. Then she began chanting in some strange language before forming a tiger hand seal. Anipo-u. Rokuchiden Kekai. As she screamed, a hexagon appeared in the ground, covering her and Naruto. It grew until it was as wide as a small house, and a red transparent wall surrounded them from the hexagon's base. Okay, the barrier is set, now the hard part, she said, drawing strange symbols in blood on Naruto's forehead and right hand and pricking her finger with one of her fangs. As red chakra started to flow from the drawings in her palm and enter Naruto's forehead through them, she said, okay, here goes nothing, Anapo, Chakra Teni no Jutsu. Okay, everything is going well so far, all that's left is to wait for the chakra to, What's going on? What's this? Itachi sat at the edge of the forest, watching the process in front of him and making sure no one approached. However, when something odd occurred during the ritual in front of him, his focus was drawn away. He watched as the transparent red hexagonal barrier solidified into crimson. He hurried anxiously in the direction of the half-polyhedron shield but halted 10 feet away. After giving it some thought, he made the decision to try something different. He produced a kunai and hurled it in the direction of the barrier's tip, not being overly shocked when it broke apart as it made contact with the shield. Itachi stood there pondering his options, but his thoughts were cut short when the barrier turned from crimson to purple. Before hearing a particular crack, the teenager pondered the color shift and asked, "What is going on?" Crack crack crack, what the? Itachi turned on his Sharingan to examine the barrier as more cracking sounds emerged. When he saw that the shield was breaking under the force it contained, his eyes widened, and he took the first action that his reasoning required. He ran frantically. He did well, however, because as soon as he got a certain distance, the shield broke apart with a final loud crack, and a tremendous explosion of purple energy filled the sky as the violet fire blew powerfully in place. The flames and lightning sparks of various purple hues formed the enormous shape of a nine-tailed fox. The enormous fox then gave one loud roar before abruptly vanishing into thin air. Itachi was on the ground, wide-eyed, and mentally reciting a lengthy list of curses to describe his predicament, but he only used the words, "What the fuck?" He tried to calm himself by shaking his head, and then he moved as quickly as he could to find out what had happened to Naruto and Rei. As he got closer to the location where the shield had been, he saw something. There was a smoking crater that was 250 feet wide, with Naruto sleeping in the center and Akaisora Rei, who was wide-eyed and slack-jawed, stuttering next to him. He went up to them both and, after making sure Naruto was okay physically, he asked the demon. Itachi demanded, "Rei-san. What the hell just happened? What happened to Naruto and what was that purple fox?" Rei pointed out that he did it out of concern for the blonde sunshine rather than in anger or meanness. Naruto, he just, I don't know, she responded. "I really don't know how to explain what happened," she responded. After calming down a little, Itachi made a serious, "Tell me as best as you can," statement. When she nodded, he sat down to understand that he had listened carefully. Well, at first everything was going well. Naruto had already absorbed about a tail and half of power when... Well, it's hard to describe what he did. She took a moment to reflect. He stopped taking the chakra completely. Instead, he seemed to analyze it, if not consciously, then subconsciously, then he... Well, he didn't copy my chakra, that's for sure. It felt his. What I'm trying to say is he made his own chakra in the image of my own. He has right now about as much chakra, if not a bit more than I have, and equally as strong. It's... Itachi Rei muttered, "Impossible," and nodded. Itachi was left dumbfounded when he heard the words, "Yes, impossible, yet it happened. I don't know why, but right now, in raw power, Naruto is as strong or stronger than I am." He then turned to see Naruto, who had just woken up. Naruto yawned and opened his eyes to find Rei and Itachi staring at him strangely. "What? Is something on my face?" he asked, scratching his whiskers. Rei shook her head and narrowed her eyes at him. She said, "You have no idea of what you just did, do you?" Which caused Naruto to become a little concerned. Rei shook her head once more when he said, "Noy? Did I do something wrong? Oh no, I screwed up the thing, right? Darn, are you fine, Rei-chan? Itachi, Nissan?" No, Naruto-kun were fine and the jutsu did its thing too. A bit too much fine if you ask me. What happened? It's what you did. What do we call it, Itachi? She turned to look at the Uchiha. The Uchiha teen nodded when she said, "How about copy?" He suggested. "Nah, I already told you it wasn't a copy." She rejected the idea, saying, "He took it first, so how about absorption?" No, it wasn't just absorption, he made it his own too, so how about assimilation? He suggested again. "You assimilated my chakra, Naruto. You took my chakra, copied it and made it your own, and frankly I have not the slightest idea how you did it. Hell, I didn't even know it was possible," Rei said as Naruto's eyes widened slightly. His jaw dropped as he said, "I assimi. What? You did? You have as much chakra as me and it's as strong as mine," Rei shouted. Naruto-kun. Your chakra is so big and intense I can hardly see it with my Sharingan. Ahhg, Itachi said, turning it off abruptly. "It's like looking to the sun, too intense, so stare at. Is this how your chakra is to Akaisora-san?" Itachi nodded after using his Sharingan to actually see Naruto's chakra. It was so overwhelming that they were actually inside Naruto's chakra, as if he were a giant fireball blazing to the skies. After a moment of staring at him, Rei thought, "If you mean the intensity, then yes, it's just as intense, but my chakra is different. My demonic chakra is heavy and slightly cold, which is why I suppress it, but Naruto's actually feels the opposite, warm and lightly." yet also strong and invigorating. Then she thought, and she narrowed her eyes thoughtfully, saying, "Nay, Itachi. Can I try something?" "What?" the Uchiha questioned, rubbing his eyes. Itachi appeared to consider her question for a moment before nodding and closing his eyes when she said, "I want to try something for a theory. Can you activate your Sharingan for a bit?" Sharingan. He opened them once more, revealing 3 swirling tomos and the recognizable red iris. Rei said, "Now Naruto-kun, I want you to touch Itachi's forehead." Naruto nodded and followed instructions, saying, "Good now, concentrate on his Sharingan, try to visualize it, to see it." Naruto breathed in concentration as he followed instructions, then nodded slightly. "Good, now. Try to imagine yourself with them." Naruto raised an eyebrow, and Itachi did the same, but he nodded anyway and focused again. He then nodded to indicate that he was done, saying, "Good, now remain like that for a while." Itachi initially agreed to do this grudgingly, so he activated his Sharingan. When he saw Naruto's chakra again, he closed his eyes but kept the Sharingan active as instructed. He attempted to meditate briefly when he felt Naruto's fingers brush against his forehead. Before his father persuaded him to follow the true Uchiha path, or the pig-headed, smug, self-centered bastard path, as he secretly called Ida, he thought this was ironic because it was the same motion he made with his real brother Sasuke. For a brief moment, he questioned whether Sasuke would be able to return to being a nice kid if he met Naruto. Itachi felt a little tense at first, as though someone or something was looking him in the eyes and analyzing him. Then, it stopped, but not in the way you might think. Rather, it felt as though someone had torn his eyes off. It was actually quite calming, as though whatever it was had taken a tranquilizer before gorging his eyeballs out with a smooth spoon. Itachi would have used this as a trick from his mid if his eyes hadn't felt a little lightheaded. Then, it seemed as though it had returned his eyes and the numbness had disappeared, as if nothing had happened at all. Itachi deactivated his Kekkei Genkai before Naruto and Itachi opened their eyes in response to Rei's statement, "Now Naruto, Itachi, that's all, you both can open your eyes now." Naruto raised an eyebrow and was about to respond to her when he heard her say, "Now that that's over, Naruto, I want you to concentrate on your eyes and the feeling you got at thinking in Itachi's eyes." However, he dismissed it and followed instructions. Expectantly, Rei said, "Now say it, that which is in your mind." After feeling a little strange, Naruto thought of a word that seemed to be begging to be spoken, foot. When he opened his eyes, he exclaimed, "Shitekagen." Rei and Itachi both gasped in surprise at what they saw. His eyes resembled a Sharingan, but they were purple, and he had 4 small rhombuses instead of 3 commas, arranged in a crosshair pattern across his iris. Naruto could also see the crosshair, so he asked Rei what was going on. "I think that you have something that shouldn't exist, Naruto. You have the ability to assimilate anything, and that seems to include Kekkei Genkais," she gasped. Itachi muttered, "By Kami," upon noticing the peculiar Sharingan in Naruto's eyes. "Itachi, I think we'll stay behind a bit more to check on what Naruto can do now and see if we can help him suppressing all that power," Rei said as Itachi nodded. "This is far more intriguing, Naruto-kun. Can the word, impossible, even be used around you? Screw the investigation into the enigmatic Uchiha." Uchiha Itachi expressed excitement about seeing this new Sharingan in action. At the moment, Uzumaki Naruto was in a small area next to a rocky cliff, with some trees visible and a small spring at its side. After Naruto activated his Shitekagen, they relocated here for a number of reasons, one of which being that their previous location was leveled out and provided very little opportunity for training. The second reason was that, given the amount of power released there would undoubtedly be a ninja sent to investigate it, whether it was Konoha, an enemy village, or even some roving bandits or a missing nin. Even though they wouldn't be much of an issue, it would still be annoying to fight them. But the third justification was more like a test. Indeed, an examination to fully assess the potential of Naruto's recently acquired Dojutsu, which he created after assimilating Itachi's Sharingan. Rei had tested Naruto in a taijutsu spar before, but since Naruto lacked a taijutsu stance, the demon princess chose not to use one herself, instead limiting herself to a clumsy brawling style with no supernatural strength in her punches. Itachi and Rei conducted the initial test in order to determine the differences and similarities between Naruto's Shitekagen and the Sharingan. Even though the Shitekagen's reflexes seemed less acute after Naruto narrowly avoided the redhead's attack, it was evident that at least the Sharingan's faster reflexes were still there when Naruto successfully avoided all of Rei's blows. Even so, it was time for the copy ability test because all of Rei's jutsus appeared to be demonic jutsus, which were nearly impossible for a human to execute and impossible to copy with a Sharingan because of the strength of the dark chakra. They therefore determined that a simpler jutsu, such as Kaiden, Enden, would be more appropriate for an exam. As Naruto nodded and activated his Dojutsu, Rei said, "Okay, Naruto-kun, please try and do what Itachi is about to do. Now, Itachi, if you will," she said, and Itachi nodded. After a sequence of hand seals, Itachi was able to shoot a single fireball from his mouth, landing it on a rock. It was that easy. Even though the jutsu was simple, Naruto saw a whole new story unfolding. First, the crosshair in his field of vision became automatically focused on the hand seals Itachi was forming, and then a ton of information flooded his mind, including the meaning of each sign, the quantity of chakra, and how it was released through it. When the chakra stabilized, the crosshair went straight to Itachi's mouth and captured, in slow motion, his inhalation of air, which caused the air's oxygen molecules to become inflamed and ignite fire by transforming the chakra into fire-type energy. He witnessed the chakra solidify into a single mass of flames that continued to burn the oxygen in its path as the crosshair moved once more onto the fireball as the fire was released from Itachi's mouth. When the crosshair eventually entered the target rock, it examined its composition both before and after the fireball struck, as well as the effects the fireball had on the area around it. A fresh batch of information about how to perform the jutsu even more effectively by appropriately regulating the quantity and intensity of the chakra burned emerged after the load of information was transferred to Naruto's brain. For instance, he predicted that by using less chakra but more concentration, the fireball would burn larger and longer, reaching farther targets or striking closer ones more forcefully. With all of this knowledge in mind, Naruto used the modified hand seals that his Shitekugan had instructed him to use and performed the jutsu. When he finally yelled, "Kaiden, Enden," a fierce fireball emerged from his mouth. The fireball traveled the same distance before striking the same rock that had been struck by the prior jutsu, but this time the impact caused the rock to crack. Given that Itachi's jutsu had been both imitated and improved, Rei and Itachi's eyes were practically the size of dishes. But then again, impossible seems like a word that can't exist near you, Naruto-kun, Itachi said calmly, and Rei nodded in agreement. Impossible. The Sharingan can't do that. It can only copy a jutsu's procedure. It doesn't give experience enough to take the jutsu to the same level as the original one, much less top it. With a broad smile, Naruto exclaimed, "He of course ni-san. I am the most surprising kid in the world," with a slight puff of his chest. "That you are Naruto-kun. Indeed you are," Rei exclaimed, still laughing, as Itachi grinned at this. After taking a breath, Itachi and Rei became serious. "So what do you think, Itachi?" the demoness asked. Itachi paused for a moment before responding. "If I had to give a solid opinion, I'd say it's more likely a ranged version of his assimilation ability but concentrated on jutsus. At least that's as far as I can tell from that. It might be able to assimilate other Kekkei Genkais, but it's impossible to confirm this right now," he said. "That's what I thought too," the brunette replied. "Since it's impossible to determine whether it can assimilate bloodline limits right now, let's move on to the next test. What other ability is there in the Sharingan?" Rei asked Itachi. "There's its ability to see chakra and to see through and cast genjutsus, and that's about it actually." Itachi pondered for a moment before concluding, "I suppose we should try and see if he can see chakra." She turned to Naruto, who appeared to emerge from his deep reverie, and said, "You're right. Naruto-kun, tell me, how do you see us?" Naruto seemed to disappear back into his own thoughts after explaining, "Wah. Oh right. Well, I see both of you the same I did before the eyes, well with the exception of the crosshair. Perhaps. He doesn't posse's the chakra view, like the Sharingan," said Itachi. She pondered for a moment before thinking, "No, I have a feeling that he does, but maybe his view is different." Then it dawned on her, that could be it. She yelled, "Itachi, get behind that rock," as she gestured to a rock wall standing out from the danger. "I swear that she thinks of me as a lab rat. Here I am. An experiment again." Itachi sighed quietly as he stepped behind it out of the two children's line of sight. After giving Naruto a quick glance and using a low-level genjutsu to block his view, Rei interrupted him by saying, "Hey Naruto-kun, try to see where Itachi is." Naruto asked, "Itachi?" as he peered around and noticed a humanoid figure behind a rock wall. "There he is." "Whoa, how did I do that?" Naruto said, glancing at a hidden Itachi. She remarked, "Impressive, not only did you find Itachi but you completely oversaw my genjutsu. Those eyes of yours are something okay," before approaching Naruto and kissing him on the cheek, which caused the Jinchuriki's cheeks to flush. Then, guess what? I figured out how Naruto's vision works, she yelled. Itachi? You can come out now, and turned to see Itachi approaching from behind the rocks. Itachi raised a brow and said, and how is that a Kaisora-san? It displays his sight as it normally does, but when there's an obstacle before him, be it genjutsu or physical obstruction, he sees through these and looks at the chakra source, right Naruto? Naruto gave a nod. Yes Ray-chan, after you told me to look for him I turned around and saw his silhouette behind the rocks. Itachi remarked, a silhouette? Then your chakra vision is more detailed than the Sharingan's, ours can only see a disembodied flame. Yours saw the silhouette. He paused, wondering, so your Shitegagan seems to be a Sharingan expert in your assimilation power. With a smile that spread to Itachi and Naruto, Ray nodded and said, it looks like so, boy are you something, Naruto-kun. Naruto pondered for a while after saying, I wonder if I'll be able to assimilate any more bloodline limits. Who knows, maybe you will maybe you won't, only Cammy knows for sure and she didn't tell me about this the other day. Ray replied with a smirk. He then got up and filled 3 canteens in the spring, threw one at Ray and the other at Naruto. Well, since we more or less figured Naruto's abilities, I believe we should head back to Konoha. There are some things I need to discuss with the Hokage, and he might just strangle me for the paperwork he'll end up with, Itachi said. He strapped his own canteen to his pants and put the scroll containing the sealed tents in the small backpack he was carrying. He said, we should head back if we want to make it by tomorrow morning. Naruto and Ray followed Itachi towards Konoha, doing the same with their own canteens. After everything that happened during his brief excursion outside the village, Naruto was eager to see the old man and to scare the living daylights out of him. 6 hours later, 2 miles from the main gate of Konoha. To the blonde, the redhead said, I think we should camp here, Naru-kun. Huh, why? Aren't we close enough to Konoha? We could reach it tonight rather than tomorrow, asked Naruto. Not before dawn, Naruto-kun, and unlike both of you, I actually do get tired, and I'll need to be refreshed to deliver the details of what we did to Lord Hokage. Moreover, it will be better if we don't arrive to explain everything to him in the middle of the night, Itachi replied. With a warm smile and a hand on his shoulder, Ray said, yes, Naruto-kun, just be patient. Actually, since we are waiting and I have no desire to sleep at all, I think I'm going to do something. Itachi. Did you by chance bring anything to write? Naruto answered after nodding. Itachi's eyebrows went up a little as he said, Yes Naruto-kun. He handed Naruto a blank scroll, some ink, and a brush, and then asked, here you go, why do you want it? Both Itachi and Ray's mouths formed a tiny, oh, when Naruto replied, oh, I just want to write some things down. I had a flash a while ago and want to write some things down. Ray explained Itachi about the flashes. Ah, so that's what kept him away a while ago, Ray thought, shrugging before opening her and Naruto's tents. Itachi followed suit after setting up some traps in case there were bandits or larger animals than rabbits. A big, fluffy, red, heated bed and a small, red nightstand with a picture of a happy Naruto on it. Don't ask where she got it, were inside her tent when Ray stepped inside. Man, what a development, really. Naruto being deity, him releasing me, then he getting enough chakra to compete with my own, which is no easy feat, if possible at all, and even him creating his own bloodline limit. Just what is Naruto's limit, and speaking of limits, I probably should teach him tomorrow morning how to control his chakra output, or he's gonna fry Itachi's eyes next time he uses his Sharingan, She grinned broadly and reached for the pillow. And the best part, he doesn't hate me, at all. She tightened her grip on the pillow for everything thus far. That was pretty interesting, the contents of that flash. If what Ray-chan told me about my strange dreams being real is truth, then those things I dream with can actually be done. This is just wicked. I must write it down so I can do that later, the blonde said, continuing to scribble furiously on the scroll that Itachi had given him while Naruto was writing and drawing something in his tent. He gave a little yawn when he was done writing, saying, well, I suppose I should hit the sack. He got up from the little desk, set up his futon, and got ready to go to sleep. Yawn, I wish I could actually build those things that would simply be wicked, he said. I'll ask Oji-san if he can help me build them when we get to Konoha tomorrow. With that final thought, Naruto's world turned black and he fell asleep. Naruto-kun. For Kami's good grace, Naruto, you sleep like a rock. Ray said, kicking and pushing Naruto awake as she repeatedly attempted to wake him but was unsuccessful. Fedding up, she leaned down to try to pull him to his feet, but it completely backfired when she fell into Naruto's arms and was used as a pillow to hug him, leaving her face the same shade as her hair. She did the only thing that came to mind at the moment, reasoning that if she was waist deep in water, going a little deeper couldn't harm her. She embraced our favorite blonde. Itachi entered this scene while attempting to assist Rei in waking Naruto. Rei was unaware of how or where Itachi obtained a digital camera, but Itachi managed to take a few pictures before muttering with a smirk something that sounded suspiciously similar to blackmail, KKK. An angry Rei chased after a smirking Itachi who was sealing something in his arm, and Naruto was unsurprised to find himself suddenly awake after hearing a high-pitched scream on his ear. What the heck? Isn't normally Itachi who is chasing us? Did Itachi.ni.san finally snapped and took revenge? The perplexed blonde inquired. She said, her face a peculiar mixture of blush and rage, "Shut up and help Naruto. Itachi got something that must disappear, and trust me when I say it is of our mutual benefit that we see it is properly burned to the ground. Whatever it is, we could always find ways to persuade him from using that, mainly something that includes pink dye and the market of Konoha." Mwahahaha. Naruto said with a shrug, but eventually broke into a devilish whisper with an equally impish smile. Kyahahaha, true Naruto.kun, ooh I love that mischievous side of yours. Was Rei's final evil laugh, which caused the Uchiha to break out in cold sweat. Her eyes briefly turned thoughtful, and she halted her pursuit of the Uchiha before she too started laughing. Itachi, well aware of the evil mastermind that was Naruto when it came to pranks, recalled the memory of bright red hair and said, Mad Naruto.kun, why don't we solve this peacefully? I swear never to use that as blackmail ever. It would be an understatement to say that he was afraid. Naruto reverted to his carefree self and said, why not? I don't really know what it was, but if he promises never to use it against us, I mean, what could be the problem, nay, Rei-chan? Rei reddened a little, but since there was no way to get out of this without Naruto discovering the tiny snuggle, she chose to let it go and made a mental note to buy a lot of pink dye just in case. Fine. But you better keep your word, you damn weasel, she said to Itachi. Anyways, Naruto.kun, come with me, I'm gonna teach you how to suppress your chakra at least to a bearable level. As they made their way to Konoha that morning, Naruto and Rei practiced reducing his chakra output. He then began to manipulate his chakra like a fish to water. Even though his gargantuan levels were difficult, he was able to reduce them to low Chunin level, at most high Genin. It was a little remarkable, but with more practice, he would eventually be able to conceal his chakra flawlessly. When Itachi and company arrived at Konoha's main gate at midday, Kotetsu and Izumo, the two perpetual Chunin, welcomed them. As Izumo removed the registry board, Kotetsu exclaimed, Yo Itachi? What's up? Izumo gave the blonde a high five as he handed Kotetsu the board and exclaimed, Back from your mission? I thought you were supposed to take another 2 days? How's it going, Naruto? The blonde grinned and said, Hello Izumo.san Kotetsu.san. He had met the two idiots previously and always thought they were cool and funny to talk to. They even enjoyed the jokes he played on the villagers and ninjas. As Kotetsu noticed Rei, who was actually behind Naruto, grabbing his arm, an action she used to actually suppress Naruto's chakra, he teased, Hey, I hadn't seen you back there, who's that, Naruto? Your girlfriend? N.no. She's just a friend, both Naruto and Rei exclaimed simultaneously, which made Chunin laugh heartily and Itachi, who was signing the board, snicker. Izumo, waving Naruto and Rei away as they followed Itachi to the tower, said, Well, all good to go Itachi, just go give your report to the Hokage. See you later champ, and your girlfriend too. 12 minutes later, Hokage Tower. When Hiruzen Sarutobi heard from the gate that Itachi had returned with Naruto and a redhead girl, he waited idly at his desk, wondering what had happened and who the girl was. When the secretary spoke over the intercom, he was so excited that he almost pulled a facial muscle from the smile. Oh, I'm not that young anymore, he thought as he rubbed his cheek. The young secretary's voice rose above the speaker, Hokage. Sama, Uchiha Itachi.san is here to see you. He's accompanied by Uzumaki Naruto and another child named Akaisora Rei. Want me to let them in? The Hokage replied, All right, Hokage. Sama, and said, Yes, let them in, please, Otani.san. Itachi entered his office with Naruto, and the redhead, who was now known as Rei, sat down. Itachi then cleared his throat. Ehem. Hokage. Sama, I think it would be in our best interest if we seal this room and send the Anbu away, said he. The Hokage nodded and gave a single clap. 2 Anbu emerged, one wearing a gopher mask and the other a dog mask. Gopher, dog, leave us alone and activate the seal, said the 2 Anbu as they nodded and left the room. waving briefly at Naruto before departing. The Hokage nodded and instructed Itachi to continue as soon as the doors closed and the walls and door glowed blue before returning to normal. He went on to inform the Hokage of the events leading up to the mission, explaining, "Hokage Sama, the mission was successful. Naruto managed to contact the nine-tailed fox under my supervision, but we have many things to tell you." The Hokage experienced a range of emotions, including fear, awe, shock, and happiness. He also hyperventilated when he learned that Naruto had broken the seal and was astounded as a rock when he learned about Naruto's chakra, but he said nothing throughout the entire explanation. Naruto was shocked once more when he used the Shitekogen to reveal the Hokage. He turned it off again, but his eyes remained purple, suggesting that something was wrong. Gazing at the blonde, Ray exclaimed, "Naruto, your eyes. What about them?" The blonde asked, looking perplexed. The Hokage pulled a mirror out of a desk cabinet and gave it to him. What?" he cried, his eyes a bright purple. He said, but I haven't the Shitekogen activated anymore." Ray touched Naruto's forehead and started to glow red. She focused for a while before opening her eyes. "Eyes strange, Naruto, your DNA matches your eyes. Like you always had them purple. It's strange, but it has nothing to do with your Shitekogen, that is placed in a DFF errant chromosome." He looked at himself in the mirror and said, "Oh well, if nothing can be done then it's fine then. I mean I do like this color." Everyone started to perspire a little before Ray nodded. Wiping his forehead, Hiruzen grinned and uttered, "Kami. Naruto, I swear you're gonna give me a stroke one of these days." "Oh, that's right, Gigi. Do you know anyone who could teach me how to build things out of metal?" The blonde smiled. He pulled a card from a desk cabinet and said, "Higurashi Ryohei, the best weaponsmith in Konoha. Tell him you're sent by the Hokage and ask him anything you want." The Hokage arched an eyebrow and said, "You mean a blacksmith?" "Yes, actually." Dog.san, please take Naruto to the Higurashi weapon shop and take care of him," the Hokage said as he opened the door and gave the card to the Anbu. The Anbu said, "Hi Hokage. Sama, come on Naruto, let's go," and the blonde nodded. The Hokage and the Anbu were both startled and overwhelmed by Naruto's chakra pressure as soon as Ray left his arm. Naruto.kun, you still need to work on your control your leaking Junin level pressure, Ray told Naruto. After saying, "I'm sorry, Ray-chan," the blonde focused a little and reduced his chakra levels to mid-high genin. The Hokage Itachi complained and Ray complained a little but nodded when he said, "Akaisora.san, Itachi.san, please stay. I still need to go over some things with both of you." The Hokage sat in his chair, followed Naruto outside, and shut the doors. "Itachi.san, Akaisora.san, would you kindly explain about this mysterious Uchiha?" he said, and both of them nodded. With Itachi's occasional nod and remarks, Ray explained to the Hokage, "It goes like this. As I feared, Itachi.san, I've got something to say to you. I've received reports that say that the Uchiha clan is planning something behind our backs. I want you to investigate this as it seems many Uchiha ninja are in this operation including Councilman Fugaku. This is an S-class secret mission and I trust you'll keep it." Itachi's eyes widened and he thought, Father? He became concerned and finally answered the Hokage after remembering that many Uchiha were not entirely satisfied with Konoha's system. "Hi, Hokage. Sama, I've noted as well something strange lately and wanted to investigate myself about certain clan issues. I accept the mission." Ray saw both older men and scratched her head, saying, "I'm going to go find Naruto since I have no idea what you guys are talking about." She got up and went to the door. "Wait Akaisora.san, I still need to talk to you about some things, mainly arrange some things about Naruto," replied the Hokage. "I detest politics, sigh. Yet another reason I left the demon realm," Ray thought as she sat down once more. Naruto and the dog. Masked Anbu were strolling through Konoha's market district from the Hokage tower. This time, instead of running away, Naruto ignored Tama or at least was unaffected by Tama despite receiving the customary hateful and gold-glared looks. However, the same couldn't be said for the Anbu who went with him. The dog. Masked Anbu felt awful and wanted to lash out at the villagers for their treatment of the blonde next to him. However, he was enthralled with his small charge, and the way he regarded them was as though they were unassailable. This was almost a complete contrast to the child's previous behavior. He tried to strike up a conversation with Naruto because he was curious about the abrupt change and was angry about the attack the child had experienced on his birthday. After some time and some sake bottles, the head of Konoha's interrogation department finally agreed to let him try with the inmates after he pleaded with Ibiki. That day, he fired 5 Chidoris, all of which were aimed at preventing the aggressors from ever having children. The dog. Masked Anbu tried to interrupt the silent escort of our favorite purple-eyed blonde by asking, "So, how have you been, Naruto?" Naruto smiled slightly and said, "I am fine, Inu-san, and you?" The Anbu repeated, "I'm fine, Naruto, so, what have you been up to?" Not much, Inu-san. Naruto was aware that he could rely on this silver-haired Anbu because he had previously saved him on a few occasions and was the one who saved him during the... He didn't know if he could truly tell him everything that had happened since his last birthday, though, because of an incident that occurred when he was 5. Naruto. I heard about what happened from Hokage-sama. I'm sorry I couldn't be there, I was out on a mission. If only I hadn't accepted it. The Anbu was staring at the ground. Even though the dog mask was covering his face, Naruto could see the sadness in the Anbu's expressions. I'm fine. Itachi ni-san saved me back then, so it's okay. It wasn't your fault, Inu-san. You were outside of Konoha, and in no way was that your responsibility. The Anbu stumbled upon a large building named Higurashi Arms, which was the weapon shop. Oh look, we are here. Naruto, stay behind me for a bit, they said. With the store's doorbells ringing, Naruto and the Anbu entered the building right away. The variety of weapons and other tools in the store, including kunais, shurikens, katanas, hammers, and more, made Naruto's eyes widen. They also had a variety of designs on display. A voice came from the rear of the shop as Naruto was thinking about kunai with a gold vine design. As a big man emerged from a door behind the counter, the gruff but upbeat voice said, "Welcome, welcome, what can I do for ya?" He was enormous. He was about 6.4 feet taller than the Anbu with Naruto. Yes, he is taller than Jiraiya. Had a buff build that showed through his wide stomach, which was made entirely of muscle beneath his clothes, short, slicked back black hair with silver in it, a Van Dyke beard, and brown eyes that were full of expression and smiles. He wore jeans and an olive green short-sleeved shirt, but the big leather apron with the Konoha symbol on it covered up everything else about his attire. The man, who was apparently oblivious to Naruto, said, "Hi there, Anbu-san. Need any spare kunai or something?" The Anbu started, "Actually, mister," and waited for the man to identify himself. Ryohei, Higurashi Ryohei, was the man's name. The Anbu moved aside to make Naruto slightly more visible and said, "Ryohei-san, the one who wanted to see you is this child with me." The Anbu was awaiting the man's response to Naruto. The man froze upon seeing Naruto, and with a look of shock in his eyes, he muttered something that neither Naruto nor the Anbu could hear. He whispered, "Minato," but neither Naruto nor the Anbu heard him. The man quickly gathered himself. The man laughed after a moment of surprise. "Hey, short stuff, what do you want from me, Don't tell me you're a ninja. Not another Itachi, darn it. I swear that kid almost gave me a heart attack when he came here for some equipment," he said. The Anbu was happy with his response, but Naruto wasn't quite sure why he hadn't thrown me out. That's a first. Most people either kick me out of their store or give me extra money for everything when they see me, and I don't even see any negative reaction in his eyes. This is just strange. "No sir, I'm not a nin." "Wait, you know Itachi ni-san?" replied Naruto. "Do I know him? Damn kid came here when he was about your age saying he was a darn genin at 7. And the darn Gaki is an Anbu captain now at 13. Just what has Mikoto been feeding that kid, I wonder? Anyhow, what do ya need from me, kid?" Naruto pointed to the weapons and questioned, "Do you make all this stuff?" The man, wondering why the child had come to him, said, "Damn straight I do. Finest weapons in the village. Why? Have any commissions?" To which Naruto replied, I want to learn how to make weapons." The man was surprised by this and started humming while observing Naruto. With caution, the man said, "So, why do you want to learn to forge weapons?" "Because what you make is beautiful, but if ni-san uses them they must also be very good and strong. I want to learn to make strong weapons, and also I have some things I need to build myself, and I need the knowledge to make them," Naruto responded with confidence. Ryohei hummed once more before the man stroked his beard and said, Very well, Gaki, come with me to the forge, and if you endure the heat and pay attention, I might take you as an apprentice." He waved to the Anbu as he hurried behind the counter and through the door, his amethyst-colored eyes sparkling with a huge smile. "Cool. Then, see ya later, Inu-san, Naruto said. "Don't worry, Kakashi, I'll take care of the Gaki. Ryohei said to the masked Anbu before following Naruto. After nodding, the Anbu vanished in a whirlpool of foliage, leaving Naruto in the weaponsmith's grasp. He turned to Naruto as he entered the wooden door and said, "Wait a minute, Gaki. I'm going to ask my daughter to mind the store for a bit." He then proceeded to some stairs. In an attempt to get someone's attention, the man yelled to the stairs, "Hey Tenten, come down and man the store for a while." After some strange ruffling noises, such as what sounded like breaking ceramic, a door slamming, and running feet, a young girl emerged from the stairs and said, "On my way Oto-san," in a small feminine voice. She had brown hair tied in a bun behind her head and short bangs parted in the middle, and she had fair skin and the same expressive chocolate brown eyes of Ryohei. Naruto thought she was pretty, but not gorgeously so like Rei-chan. She had a small red kunai pouch on her left hip and some bandages wrapped on her right thigh. She was dressed in a short, sleeved pink shirt with a panda etched on the front, dark blue shorts, and dark blue shinobi sandals. She looked at Naruto, a little perplexed. "Hey dad, who's the kid?" she asked, which annoyed Naruto a little. The young girl laughed as he yelled, "Hey, who are you calling a kid? You don't look much older than I do." "Haha yeah. Well I'm 8, and I already entered the Shinobi Academy," she said with pride. "So what, I am 7 and I'm also gonna be a shinobi, and a kick-ass one, believe it." Hokage's office, Hokage Tower. Achu, Rei let out a loud sneeze. The Hokage handed her a tissue and said, bless you, here Rei-san." She tapped her chin absently with her index finger and said, "Thanks, old man. I feel like I have to hit Naruto as soon as I see him. Plus, I have this weird need to teach him not to say anything hard." The "poor you Naruto-kun" made the Hokage perspire. Arms from Higurashi. Tenten hummed and looked at Naruto, saying, "7? Are you sure? Aren't you a little short for being 7? She asked, pointing to his height with a faint smirk. "Yeah, have a problem with that. I'll be a freaking giant shinobi before you know it," Naruto said in a defiant tone as his eyebrow twitched and his eyes widened. "Whoa. How strange. I've never seen purple eyes before, but they seem kind of lovely. Is that a bloodline of some sort? Like Neji's child?" Before answering, she remarked, "Hey, good luck with that. Dad's the biggest shinobi I've seen yet." "Osan, you're a shinobi?" Naruto asked, blinking, turning to face Ryohei. "Who are you calling old? Gaki, I'll have you know I'm only 35, ehem. "Yes, I was a shinobi. In fact, I used to be the 4th Hokage's teammate, you know," the man replied with a grin. With glistening amethysts for eyes, Naruto questioned, "Really? That's cool? Were you super strong then, Osan? In anticipation of learning from a powerful person?" "Oh yeah kid, Anbu so there, shahahaha. Anyway Tenten," was Ryohei's brief eyebrow twitch. "Yes dad," the girl said. The girl nodded when the enormous Anbu said, "This is Naruto Uzumaki and he wants to be my apprentice in blacksmithing. I'm taking him to the forge to give him a little test. Attend the store while we're busy." "Apprentice? Dad, what are you thinking? Despite the weekly influx of applicants, you never hire apprentices. What are you planning?" Tenten pondered as she left the reception area. The man said, "Okay Gaki, follow me," and Naruto nodded in agreement. Naruto noticed the Tenten girl reading a magazine while seated in a chair at the counter when they exited the reception area once more. They then passed through a steel door. Naruto was amazed as he observed the rather large room with an anvil, numerous tools, barrels, a forge, and other unremarkable items on the other side of the door. "All right, Gaki, let me be clear. I have never accepted an apprentice candidate. The reason for this is that either they failed my tests or..." "Very well, Gaki. It goes like this, I'm going to run you through a few tests and I want you to pass them without using your chakra in the slightest." "Okay," Ryohei said as he approached the anvil. Naruto gave a nod. "All right, so I'll throw you a very weak Kaiden jutsu to simulate the heat that one experiences when using the forge. If you can handle it, you'll have passed the endurance test and can move on to the next section." "Okay," Ryohei said. Naruto stared at him in shock for a while before nodding. The man started creating some hand seals and said, "Good, bear with this for a while, Gaki." "Kaiden. Neppa," he said, and he started blasting heated air at Naruto. When compared to being burned alive by larger fire jutsus, Naruto felt hotter despite the air being hot and dry. They noticed the abrupt change in temperature right away. When he heard about some of the most foolish ninjas' actions and their use of fire jutsus close to the child, Ryohei was impressed. Most of the dunces who asked him for an apprenticeship collapsed to the ground, sweating profusely. He briefly questioned how he managed to withstand that much heat. Even though it explained the blonde's high heat resistance, this made him feel very depressed. After terminating the jutsu, Ryohei noticed that Naruto was still standing, a little sweaty, and using his hand to fan himself, but otherwise appeared to be in good health. "Naruto, great job." He gestured for Naruto to approach, and Naruto did so. "You passed this test, now to the next one." "This is a dynamometer. I usually use it to measure the weight of the material I'm gonna use, but with this attached," he said, pointing to Naruto's handle, "it will be perfect to measure your physical strength. You just have to pull it the strongest you can." He gave Naruto a small black handle that was chained to a circular device that resembled a watch. "All right," Naruto said, starting to pull the handle with all of his strength. Ryohei checked the clock. Like object as the needle moved. He said, "All right, you can stop now, the measure is taken." Naruto paused and took a deep breath before he grinned and said, "Whistle, whoa, 105 pounds, that's impressive for a 7-year-old. Hell, I didn't reach that mark till I was 10. Naruto returned the smile and gave his neck a little scratch, saying, "Hee hee, really?" Ryohei nodded as he spoke. "Well, Naruto, you passed this test with flying colors, so to the next one," he replied as he took out a red pill. "This Naruto is a special medication I made in my younger days. I force-fed this to my opponents to gain an advantage in battle. This little pill drains the energy of a person in a second. I've seen grown men, civilian of course, pass out from a single one of these babes. And even most shinobi are panting after one or two." He clarified, and Naruto began to marvel at the small red ball. "I refer to it as the fag pill. Haha, they wouldn't let me call it the fag pill, even though it's registered as the wimp pill." Naruto perspired at this point. Knowing how to play on a hot, blooded child's emotions, Ryohei smirked and said, "With this, I'll test your stamina, and that will be the final part of the test. Now don't worry if you pass out. You've done well so far, so I will give you a second chance when you grow up." Naruto scowled a little before yanking the pill out of Ryohei's hands and swallowing it in defiance. His brief stunt had the effect of making him feel like he had been run over by a horse, but even so, he was able to stand with his head up high and his breathing rapid. "Well, take a look at that. Having as much stamina as an experienced shinobi at 7 is just plain unbelievable, despite the rumors I heard that you were a stamina freak. Shahahaha. Congrats. You little freak passed all of my tests." Ryohei ruffled Naruto's hair while laughing heartily. Despite being a little irritated by the previous action, Naruto grinned broadly and gave his right cheek a small scratch, saying, "Hee hee hee, I really am cool, aren't I?" His own smile was obviously in competition with Ryohei's when he exclaimed, "Damn straight little dude." He shuddered slightly. "Anyway, it's midday, want to get some food? We just need to see if you were good at actual blacksmithing, but we're going to do that tomorrow. I have an ore delivery to receive later, and we won't have time for the test because I have to go receive the cargo on the east gate." "Are really?" Naruto inquired in shock. "Yes," Ryohei smirked and remarked, "You're too thin and small, Gaki. Tenten could use the company and you could use a steak." With a kind smile, Naruto said, "Thank you, Ryohei-osan." Grinning, Ryohei led the blonde to the door by placing a hand on Naruto's shoulder. The girl's eyes widened when Ryohei said, "Tenten, come, we're going to eat, Naruto's joining us, and from now on he'll probably be here a lot. After all, I might be taking him as an apprentice tomorrow." "But he'll actually take him as an apprentice?" "Yeah, Dad, Was it Naruto?" She turned to face the blonde child and said. After giving a nod, Naruto said, "I take it that your name was Tenten? It's good to meet you," he said, scratching the back of his head and giving her his other hand. Following their handshake, Ryohei went to the kitchen and instructed the two kids to sit at the table while he warmed up some curry and rice and listened to Tenten and Naruto converse. "All right. Naruto, you're from here?" Tenten said to the blonde. "I haven't seen you around before." "Yes, I've lived in Konoha my entire life, but," Naruto said, "I'd rather not talk about it because I'm not exactly welcome in the market area." "Oh, okay." Tenten was intrigued, but she chose to postpone it until later after observing Naruto's expression. "So why do you want to learn to be a blacksmith? I thought you wanted to be a shinobi." "Yeah, but I should learn more about that because I think there are some things that can only be made that way, and if I can do them, well, I'll be moving in the right way." "All right, Tenten. Naruto. The food is ready." As he set 3 plates of food on the table, Ryohei remarked, "Naruto, eat up while it's hot." They talked about commonplace subjects while they were eating, and Naruto had a pleasant conversation with them. Once again, Ryohei. Osan, thank you for the food. Naruto stood on the front door and said. No issue, Naruto. Just stop calling me old, shahahaha. Ryohei laughed uncontrollably, giving up on getting the blonde to stop calling him that. Anyway, Ryohei. Osan, Tenten. Chan, and sayonara, there's no chance. Mata Ashita. As he waved goodbye, Naruto said, goodbye. See you tomorrow. Goodbye. Ryohei and Tenten waved to Naruto's retreating form as Gaki said, bye Naruto. Well Tenten, I have to go change, so I can go for your mother and the ore shipment, said Ryohei. Will mommy prepare dinner this evening? Tenten asked abruptly and gravely. The day after tomorrow is Naruto's test, so let's pray for the opposite Tenten. Stomach issues. Both Higurashi shivered at the idea and nodded in silence. The streets of Konoha. All right. Now what should I do? The blonde pondered as he was wandering. Rei. Chan is still with Oji.san or she would have found me already. After thinking, I could go to the park and play for a while. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Naruto grinned and veered his way toward the park. But as Naruto arrived at the park, he saw something that made him frown. A young girl about his age, wearing a white yukata and short midnight blue hair, was being bullied by some of the kids who frequently annoyed him. K. Why do you continue to play with baby dolls? You, sweetheart? Called the big fat boy with black hair in a buzz cut that was holding the girl's doll over his head, and henceforth hers. What are you gonna do, huh? As he shoved the girl to the ground, he called out. Are you going to cry? Called another kid, this one the same height although much thinner, with brown spiky hair. He was mockingly rubbing his eyes in a mock, crying manner. Boo.who, he was chanting. Another youngster, shorter and with curly black hair, was laughing and mimicking the sounds of his accomplices sobbing. Naruto drew a breath and strode firmly in their direction, frowning once more. Ui! Yaradomo! 1. He yelled, drawing the bully's attention. What in the world are you doing? Naruto stomped in their direction and uttered those words angrily. Look, there's that demon brat, wimp. What do you want? The older boy said, glancing at Naruto. Please give her her doll back and leave her alone. With an angry tone, Naruto gazed into the larger boy's eyes. Oh, I see. What are you going to do about it? The shorter of the three nodded at the brown-haired boy. The bullies laughed when Naruto pointed to himself with his thumb and said, I'm gonna make you. Very well done, wimp. Let's see if you can. He was shocked when the blonde did not move an inch when the boy shoved Naruto with the intention of throwing him to the ground. Though he was a little perplexed as well, Naruto realized that Rei Chan's physical training read. Tortura served a purpose and that he was much stronger now, so he just shoved the child himself, smiling at the more than accomplished goal because, in addition to getting shoved, the bully fell to the ground after being thrown backwards a good 4 feet. With eyes swirling and tiny bird sounds tweeting, the bully fell to the ground and said, what kind of boulder hit me? He squeaked and then collapsed on the ground, feeling lightheaded. The other boys were tense, saying, Kojiro was the strongest of us. If this kid threw him off then we have a snowball's chance in hell of winning. Retreat. They looked at Naruto and nodded in agreement. Naturally unaware of their thoughts, Naruto tensed at the glares and braced himself for a fight, but what he didn't anticipate was run like crazy. With a scream, both boys grabbed their fallen bully and fled the scene, leaving behind a panting Naruto. All right. Naruto remarked, didn't see that one coming, before turning to face the girl. The girl, relieved that someone had come to her aid, turned to face her savior as he helped her stand up. He then picked up her doll that had fallen to the ground, dusted it off, and returned it to her. Thank you, she said quietly. Naruto smiled and said, hey, no problem. I detest bullies and witnessing bullying. He added in a quiet voice, my name is Uzumaki Naruto. What's your name? He uttered. Just as she opened her mouth to respond, a shout of, Hinata, Chan, you're where? And, nay, Chan, sounded. Naruto assumed they were the girls, now known as Hinata, family when they turned around and saw a woman with white eyes, long midnight, blue hair, and a white kimono holding a little girl who was slightly younger than them, had brown hair, and was wearing spiky pigtail and a white yukata. Hinata turned to Naruto and bowed, saying, Sumimasen Naruto-san, but I have to go now. My name is Hyuga Hinata. She then gave him a gentle hug and added, and thank you for helping me, before pursuing the individual. Naruto simply nodded when he noticed that the girl had called her mother and appeared to discuss something with her before pointing at him. He half expected the girl's mother to become irate and tell him to avoid her daughter, as he was accustomed to, but he was taken aback when the woman gave him a silent thank you smile and bowed. Naruto was a little taken aback, but he quickly bowed as well, and the woman smiled at him before nodding and walking away. After a moment of confusion, Naruto dismissed it and proceeded to play. Naruto didn't realize a small figure was curiously observing him as he made his way to the slide. Naruto sat down in the swings. Usually, he would play by himself for a while before sitting in the swings, and during that time, he would feel depressed, hopeless, and miserable, but he soon realized that was no longer the case. He started to question why, and then he recalled the events of the previous week and how much they had changed him. He recalled Kami telling him about his bizarre ancestry, which made him realize he needed to ask Saru, Gigi about his family. He considered how he could now play freely with Itachi without jeopardizing his missions, now that he was no longer a member of Anbu. At last, he remembered Rei and how she was the friend he had always looked for. He grinned broadly. The small silhouette following him was startled by this. Why is Rei taking so long to come find me, and what in the world is she doing with Gigi? Naruto pondered. Hokage Tower, Hiruzen's office. While assisting the Hokage in sorting and defeating the bane of all cages, Rei was tempted to use an Onikatan jutsu and exclaimed, "Bloody hell, you old fool. How do you even manage to get so much paperwork?" As a secretary brought a new stack of papers that, in Hiruzen's eyes, were still smoking from the hellish pits from which they spawned, the old Hokage sighed, "I honestly don't know a Kaisora-san. I swear I'm gonna kill the next person who comes with another stack of papers for me to sign. Once again, thank you for helping me solve this problem," the old Hokage emphasized. She glared at the secretary, who noticed her glares and left as quickly as she could, which was pretty darn quick for a civilian. "Seriously, old monkey. Grandpa took care of the political title of Kyubi while I was in the demon realm, and I ruled everything there, and not once did this much paperwork stacked together," she said angrily. On Konoha's playgrounds, there are swings. People would tell you that Yamanaka Ino was gossip incarnate, but this wasn't entirely accurate. The true reason for the misconception was that it appeared similar to others' eyes, but she knew the reason quite well. Yamanaka Ino was always a curious person. She was incredibly curious. She was interested in many things, including herself, her friends, flowers, animals, and the reaction of her friends to spicy news. However, one thing in particular piqued her interest recently. Naruto Uzumaki, the demon brat of Konoha, because she hated bullies, as her best friend Sakura would tell you. She was incensed when she witnessed other parents warning their kids to avoid him, and even when the mothers of the people who bullied him commended their kids for it. Her own parents never spoke negatively about the child. Instead, whenever his name was brought up, they would either display sadness or hatred, the latter of which was typically directed at the person who had spoken negatively about the child. Her curiosity was bound to be piqued by this, and the moment she heard the parents say they were unable to adopt him again. Why was the child treated cruelly by everyone? Why did the majority of adults appear to despise the child? The child visited Lord Hokage at least once a week. Why was that? Since orphans were not permitted to leave until they were 11, why did he have an apartment at 7 if he was an orphan? Why was he alone all the time? And who exactly was Naruto Uzumaki? The Yamanaka heir was troubled by this and numerous other questions. Because she was curious, she had followed him for a while, out of his line of sight. Of course, if he knew she was following him, he would alter his usual routine even a little, which would not quench the girl's curiosity. During her brief investigation, she found that he was mostly by himself. He was always playing by himself, eating by himself at that ramen stand, and avoiding the enigmatic looks that the adults gave him by wandering around Konoha. She had previously seen him in playgrounds, but he had never played with anyone. If most people avoided him or bullied him, he would then sit in the swings and look dejected, as though the whole world rested on his shoulders. Despite this curiosity, she never once saw him cry. Imagine her surprise when he went straight to the swings and started smiling instead of playing alone and sitting on his blue swing for a while. Not only that, but this smile wasn't the same as the ones she frequently saw on his face. Rather, it was a lovely, heartwarming smile that unintentionally made her own lips smile. She decided to talk to him and see how he would react because her curiosity was stronger than ever this time. She got up, cleaned herself up a little, and then approached him. She said, "Hi, I'm Ino, though you can call me Ino. Sama, what's your name?" With a playful demeanor that people who don't know her well often mistake for arrogance. She then held out her hand in greeting, waiting for him to follow suit. For once, Naruto couldn't understand what was happening because not many children, let alone girls, greeted him and politely asked for his name. In addition, He had seen her previously and she appeared to be well liked because she was constantly surrounded by children. He took her hand slowly, responding with an unsure, Hi, I'm Naruto, out of instinct rather than clear thinking, of which he currently lacked. She smiled as she said, Hi Naruto, what are ya doing? Once he was able to think clearly again, he said, Well, nothing really, just thinking. Disregarding the part of her mind that begged her to simply ask him about his life, she asked, Really now? Say, wanna play with me? Still unsure about this, Naruto uttered, Sure, why not? The platinum blonde quickly dragged him off the swings and said, Great, come on, let's play in the sea. Then, after you become my friend, you'll tell me about it she thought. After some time and some games, Naruto finally started playing with Ino and he started having fun. At first, they played a little awkwardly, with Ino dragging Naruto around and Naruto being a little put off by this. After an hour of contemplation, Ino's father started yelling her name, and she muttered a curse that she had only made their friendship more visible. Naruto heard it, but he didn't really understand, so he chose to ignore it. Inoichi grinned when he saw his daughter playing with Naruto. He could tell by her puffy cheeks that she wanted to play with him more, which made him smile even more. However, as much as he wanted the two blondes to bond, it was time to leave because his wife was going to start cooking, and when he didn't eat it, she became extremely irate and frequently called forth the wrath of that evil frying pan that seemed to just vanish from existence because he was certain to destroy every pan in his home. The older blonde waved to the violet-eyed one, saying, Ino, honey, I'm sorry to interrupt but it's time to go. Hi there Naruto. Naruto recognized the man immediately because he had previously assisted him numerous times in both urgent and routine situations, and he and his wife had occasionally provided him with a cooked meal. With a joyful smile, Naruto said, Hi Inoichi-san, nice to see you again. How is Izumi-san? To one of the people who had previously shown him kindness. He said absent-mindedly, She's well, Naruto, though I could do without the beatings, but then he remembered his daughter was present and his eyes widened. He turned to face her and said firmly, though his eyes were practically pleading, Don't tell your mother I said that. Unfortunately, he noticed the glint in her eyes, which meant that either she got her way or she would tell, so it looks like he'll be sleeping on the couch tonight. With suffering. He told his daughter, Anyway, Ino, it's time to go. You can play with Naruto another day. Gomen Naruto, I have to go. We'll play on another occasion, eh? Ino said, glancing apologetic at Naruto, before extending her hand to him. With his trademark smile, Naruto accepted it and told her, It's okay, Ino-chan, we'll play again later. He failed to notice the faint pout on the platinum blonde's face. Before shaking hands and heading out with her father, Ino thought, Damn, I wanted to see you smile like you did a while ago, perhaps with time. When Naruto said, Bye Inoichi-san, bye Ino-chan, see ya later, they waved back. After playing for a while and watching the sunset, he was left alone once more and momentarily pondered what Rei was doing at the moment. Hokage Tower, Hiruzen's office. The demon princess grumbled, How much longer must we do this? As she watched the elderly Hokage complete some paperwork. For a while more Akaisora-san, after all this is all the pertinent paperwork to make a change of address. I was thinking in moving Naruto to a bigger house, but since he is only one child I couldn't give him anything bigger than an apartment. If he at least had a single friend from the orphanage willing to move in with him, then perhaps I could have assigned them Anbu guards, but the elderly shinobi went on sorrowfully. Yeah, I know. But at least he's with me now, I'll never leave him alone, and besides with me around Anbu guards will be totally unnecessary, she replied with a grin. When Hiruzen saw that smile on Rei's face, he couldn't help but smile because it was too similar to his favorite blondes. For a moment, he wondered if this would cause more trouble than it was worth, but he quickly brushed the idea away. The entrance to Konoha's playgrounds, Naruto was thinking to himself, maybe I should go look for Rei-chan, when he let out a growl. A bowl or 200 from Ichiraku's sound extremely tempting right about now. Tough, she might want some too, he said, grrroowl. But then again, what she doesn't know won't hurt her, he thought as he approached Ichiraku. It was already dark when Rei signed documents and gazed out the window, asking, Nay old monkey? Yes, what is it Akaisora-san? The Hokage replied, taking a small puff of smoke. Looking at the pile of paper that was their nightmare a while back, she said scornfully, "Why was there so much paperwork, huh? I remember some of Naruto's visits to your office and you never had that much." She thought she saw something moving. "Oh well. You see, we had some Kumo ambassador here to negotiate a peace treaty yesterday. He is scheduled to leave tomorrow morning and I had to get the paperwork sorted. Moreover, today is the 6th birthday of one of the Hyuga's clan head's children and he wanted some documents signed as well." Ray hummed a little before saying, I feel I need to hit Naruto a bit more for being inconsiderate, dunno why though." As she trailed off, staring out the window. The Hokage gave a small laugh and said, "Ma, you've got your hands full with this one, Naruto-kun. Ichiraku Ramen in Konoha's food district, greater than." Tucci was terrified when Naruto abruptly appeared on one of the stand's chairs and exclaimed, "Hey Osan." He questioned hesitantly, Naruto-kun? Before striking the blonde in the head with the paddle. "Darn Gaki. Be more mindful of old people," he moaned, before Ayame gave him a ladle to the head. With puffy cheeks, Ayame said, "Don't hit Naruto-kun 2.san. You know how excited he gets to eat with us, you should be used to it by now." Tucci muttered incoherently as he rubbed the sore spot on his head and returned to the kitchen. "Nay. Ayame. Chan, could you give me a bowl of miso ramen to start?" Naruto asked the waitress, his perspiration dropping at the family's antics. She joined her father in the kitchen after saying, "Of course Naruto-kun, wait here." After a few minutes, she emerged carrying 3 plates of miso ramen, placing 2 in front of him and 1 in front of her at the counter. "The first one is one the house Naruto-kun, she said. Before he began, Naruto said, "Thank you, oh wonderful and beautiful Ayame. Chan." With a big smile and a little drool. He definitely knew how to talk sweetly. Before she started eating the noodles, Ayame laughed at what he had said. "So Naruto-kun, what have you been up to lately? You haven't come around," she asked, and Naruto provided a version of events that wouldn't jeopardize himself, Ray, or Itachi. After 30 minutes, and 15 bowls, As he left the ramen stand, Naruto waved, "Goodbye Chan. Osan. See you tomorrow." He saw a small group of people gathered in the center of Konoha and around the homes of those white-eyed people. Both areas appeared to be celebrating something, despite their small numbers. He chose to take the less traveled route to his home, which passed the eastern gate. Since this was the industrial area where the majority of the villagers worked, it was almost deserted at night, so it was safe to pass through here. After nodding, he proceeded down the deserted alleys towards his home because he knew from personal experience that being close to crowds during celebrations was suicidal, especially for him. He had no idea that he was going to take yet another step toward his fate. The streets of Konoha. Ichiban Ranbumono Suhei's life was going well. Since it was the Hyuga heiress's birthday, almost all of the other Hyuga would be busy taking care of the child, so he was able to get the Hokage busy with the alliance paperwork, get the people and the majority of Konoha ninjas to celebrate peace in the middle of the town, and even drug the Hyuga matriarch into sleep so that he could kidnap the child. And since she would be out of sight for a few hours, he only needed to tie the child up, put her in a bag, and presto, instant Hyuga eyes. They would definitely find out eventually, but for now, he only needed to take the child to the outskirts of the city, deliver her to the Reckon team, and then return and pretend nothing had happened. The council will be happy, no doubt. After all, that power. Hungry Raikage was a decent guy if you got along with him, so with luck, he might even become Junin. And the council's plan was brilliant. There's no better way to get there than to bring the Byakugan to the village, especially one with such powerful genes as the daughter of the main branch. The council was clever enough to even make it so that even if the Raikage was unaware of this plan, he would have to accept what had happened. She would be taken out of her eyes and used as breeding stock until she gave birth to a male. Then her ovaries would be taken out as backup and disposed of like evidence. The child would then be used to impregnate various girls, and the village would soon have its own batch of Byakugan users. Yes, everything was going smoothly, and the fact that there was nobody on the path he was taking to the east gate made things even easier for him. If he hadn't run into a little blonde child, that is. Where the devil did this brat come from? He and the blonde swore as they stared at one another as they fell, spiraling to the ground in a yelp of pain. The man yelled at the blonde child, "Damn it brat, watch where you're going." He was looking at a ninja when Naruto yelled back, "Watch where you're going you blind baka. Why the hell are you running in the first place?" However, his Hite.8 had a different symbol, one that resembled 3 long dots, 2 of which were fused together. Check out the cloud headband on Google. The man was carrying a sack, which Naruto noticed was moving. He was shocked to see it open and discover a person inside. And it wasn't just any individual, it was a young girl, the same young girl she had seen with Hinata's mother earlier that day. So this is her younger sister. Hinata's younger sister was being abducted by this man. When Suhei realized the child had witnessed what he was doing, he froze and muttered a curse as he got up and approached Naruto. In an attempt to scare the child into oblivion so he could hurry off to take care of his business, Suhei released some killer intent against Naruto and said, "Well, this sure is troublesome, brat. I don't have much time to lose, so I'll ask you to shut up about what you just saw and never tell anyone, got it?" He was not prepared for Naruto's reaction, though. Naruto charged the man with his fist raised and then slammed it down on his face, saying, "You bastard, leave her alone." However, what happened was not what he had anticipated. "Oh, you've got balls to try and fight a chunin, brat," the man said, before punching Naruto in the stomach, sending him crashing into a wall and knocking the wind out of him. "Shame you ain't got the brains not to," he said, standing there with Naruto's fist still lodged on his cheek, an indifferent frown on his face, and no injuries at all. It was simply crazy how strong the punch was, and Naruto felt it. How was he going to escape this situation? What about the sister of Hinata? The girl in the bag gasped, but Naruto recognized that as a gasp even though her mouth was slapped with duct tape. Tentatively, Naruto stood up and started to make the hand seals for the jutsu he had learned with Itachi, but before he had finished them, he was kicked in the ribs and flung against another wall. Was he losing? "Oh, so you know some jutsu, huh? I'm surprised. I thought kids were not taught about chakra until they were 9, much less a jutsu." "Oh well, it doesn't matter, brat. You're still just a brat," the man said, lifting him from his shirt after giving him another kick to the side of his head to bring him back to reality. He was a boy when reality struck him like a ton of bricks. Even though he was a strong boy who could fight off bullies larger than him and had learned how to use jutsu at such a young age, something not seen since Itachi, he was still only a young child. I'll admit it, brat, that punch held some strength. Perhaps in time you would have been a strong opponent. Shame you ran into me before that." The man threw him against a different wall and took a look at him. "You're finished, brat. Those wounds broke your bones. I'm slightly odd you haven't passed out from pain, but it's useless. If you don't get medical attention you'll probably die, so it won't matter what you do, I'll just leave you here and deliver this little brat over here." He pointed at the bound girl. "To my boss, and if by the time I get back you're still around I'll dispose of you properly." The guy turned around. Was that it? Am I really limited to this? Naruto asked himself. He looked at the bound girl and asked, "Am I really this useless? I couldn't even protect her. How am I supposed to protect myself?" "Osan. Ayame.ne. Chan. That's Itachi.ni.san. Flashes of everyone grinning at him went through his head. Hokage. Gigi. Quote. Ray. Chan. He had visions of their meeting, the tricks they played, the training, the laughter, the smiles, and the Crimson Vixen. A recollection of her cuddling up to him. Naruto.kun. "No, I can't give up, I can't give up," he thought, clenching his fist and scrunching his face in an attempt to get to his feet. The man appeared to be attempting to repackage the Hyuga girl in the bag, but he was unaware of this. Since he was the living embodiment of a rag doll not long ago, Naruto took this as an opportunity and hesitantly got to his feet, clenching his fist and summoning all of his stubbornness to ignore the throbbing pain in his entire body. With his flaring determination, he clenched his fist strongly as he advanced upon the kidnapper with renewed power and felt better than ever. He wondered briefly about this, but dismissed it as adrenaline and assumed that it would hurt later. When the man sensed that the blonde was leaking chakra, he turned to see Naruto standing up, struggling and breathing heavily. He clenched his fist and pursued him. "Brad, didn't I already tell you that was useless?" the man asked, getting ready to block Naruto's next move. Both of them were blind to Naruto's slight changes in appearance, such as his dark violet eyes turning a bright hazel brown or the darkening of the skin around his arms. They were also blind to the small cracks Naruto left in the pavement as he accelerated toward the kidnapper. The following instant felt endless since nobody achieved the desired outcome. This time, the blonde's fist not only struck his ribcage but also broke multiple ribs, knocking the wind out of the man before throwing him against a wall. Naturally, the man was in excruciating pain. "What's going on here?" he asked. "This kid's punch barely registered a minute ago, but now it feels like rakeage." Sama's were his final thoughts before he passed out. When Naruto saw that the simple punch was actually working on his opponent and had enough force to knock him against a building and break the wall, he gaped a little in shock and failed to notice the earlier changes in his appearance. As he appeared to defeat her kidnapper, the bound Hyuga gaped, as much as possible while gagged, at her blonde rescuer. She also noticed a slight change in Naruto's eyes, but she assumed it was just a light effect or something. She quickly regained her senses, though, and asked her rescuer to unbind her. When Naruto jolted out of his daze to swiftly remove the girl's gag and break her bonds, the young blonde jumped in front of him, hugging him tightly and expressing gratitude. Naruto was a little surprised, but he quickly gave the girl a hug in return and patted the back of her head, "Shush, it's all right now," to reassure her. 3 white-eyed adults appeared at that precise moment. 2 men and a woman. 2 of them were wearing white or grayish robes, and Naruto recognized the woman as the person who had previously picked up Hinata. The 2 men were identical except for one of them wearing a black or gray outfit and wearing a headband across his forehead. All 3 of them knew what had happened, and without a moment's hesitation, the blonde had managed to stop the kidnapper and was now comforting the girl. As the woman embraced her daughter and thanked her savior, "Hanabi," she exclaimed quickly. "Thanked Kami Naruto-san. Thank you." Both men tensed, searching for the aggressor, but they discovered him unconscious against a cracked wall, clearly in that state from a powerful impact with said enemy. An arm of a black, cloaked figure wearing a white and red, marked animal mask stopped the kidnapper in mid-air as the Hyuga head was about to deliver a powerful Juken strike to his brain. "Stop right there, Hayashi," a voice behind them cried. When the 2 Hyuga turned, they saw the Hokage standing there with whirling leaves declaring that he had just sunshined into the scene. A girl with red eyes and hair was with him, and she cried out, "Naruto," and rushed to embrace him. Both Hyuga heads gulped slightly as they considered it. "Don't kill him, Hayashi," the old Hokage said sternly. "Regardless of your personal opinion, he is still an ambassador, and his death would undoubtedly put us in a bad situation with Kumo. Who knows what they might demand of us to compensate? Actually, I have a thought that you do know what they demand already. They would insist on a Byakugan," both of them thought. "Naruto, are you all right? What happened?" Rei inquired, worried about her blonde friend's attire, which suggested a severe beating, but he merely grinned and shrugged. He got to his feet and said, "See, I'm Finn." But before he could finish, he passed out. "Meh, it's nothing, Rei." Rei yelled, "Naruto," and grabbed him as he fell. After a moment, the Hyuga woman sighed in relief as she said, "Do not worry, young lady, he's just exhausted, although I believe he'll be very sore tomorrow." She had activated her Byakugan to check on her daughter's savior's condition, and Rei had clearly calmed down enough to give Naruto a gentle hug. As she was slowly drifting off to sleep, the previously abducted girl felt the stress of the day's excitement get to her. She gave her savior one last look, barely whispering, "Arigato Itachi no hero," before descending into a dreamland full of knights in white armor, with golden hair and purple eyes. "Pain," the blonde said, "UHG. Where the?" As he tried to take in his surroundings and saw many of his belongings, including his clock, pajamas, bedsheets, calendar, etc. Naruto woke up with pure unbridled pain, but it wasn't the kind of screaming pain that made you feel so heavy you don't even want to move. But the room itself. "Where the hell am I?" Naruto turned to face the source when he heard a voice say, "Oh, you're up already?" Reiko was standing by the door. "You took your sweet time, Naruto. It's been 2 days already," she said. Naruto stood up and rubbed the pain from his shoulder, asking, "What the hell happened? And where are we?" As if recalling something, she smiled and said, "Oh, this is our new house. I made arrangements with the old monkey for us to move in together, and since your old apartment was only for one person, we now have a house." She then walked over to Naruto and struck him hard in the head, saying, "This is for worrying me, you dumbass." Naruto rubbed his head and exclaimed, What did I do?" "What? You ask? I'll tell you what. Not only did you suddenly thought you could play hero against an opponent obviously way more experienced and stronger than you, but you do it when you have absolutely no way to defend yourself." She yelled, "And what the hell did you do exactly? You were completely exhausted. Did you use the Shitekagen? Or why were your chakra coils filled with earth-type nature chakra? Do you even know what that is? Is unstable pure elemental energy. No living man can harness it pure. Even demons are careful with it. Next time you try something like that, I gonna kick your ass so hard it will hurt a week beforehand," ended her tirade. Naruto interrupted, asking, "But that's, how can it hurt me before you beat me?" "I'll make it happen, so don't ask about it," she replied with a final blow to the forehead. "They came to see you, you know, the Hokage, Itachi, the Ichirakus, the Hyugas, and a weaponsmith and his daughter Higurashi, I think. By the way, he said that the test was postponed until you felt better," she declared. Before getting up and stretching the soreness out of his muscles, he exclaimed, Oh crap, the test. She nodded. Wait. You said 2 days? Darn, then I'll go ASAP, he said, taking off his pajamas. Giving him a pristine orange shirt with a black swirl on it, she asked, why even want to learn to forge by the way? I mean, don't you want to be a ninja? Metal forging isn't exactly in a ninja's skill set. As Naruto put on his sandals and dark blue shorts, he remarked, I know, but a while back, he had a flash of something I had never seen before, and he wanted to make it real because of the amazing things I saw people do with it. Oh well, so long, you're fine, Reiko said before returning to her humming. What did you do exactly? I think if I hadn't recognized the chakra in your coils, no one would have known what happened. He had Inoichi try to enter your mind, so they learned about it, but they failed to reach a conclusion. Hell, I couldn't even come up with anything to explain that. He was humming as he put on his blue sandals. To be honest, I have no idea. I just felt so angry that I couldn't do anything. I even thought of giving up right then and there, but... He briefly glanced at her. I couldn't give up. I just couldn't stay down and disappoint myself. Then I felt it, a power, a strength I didn't felt before. I didn't care where it came from, but I just knew I had to use it to save that little girl and myself. When a deep, monotonous voice said, perhaps I can help with that, Naruto instantly tensed his hand and fingered a hidden kunai in his pocket. Reiko then took a defensive stance over Naruto, her dark red chakra forming claws over her hands. Now that won't be necessary, Lady Kyubi, said the man standing on the doorframe. Both Rei and Naruto were wondering what that power could be and where it came from. The newcomer was a tall, muscular man who was almost as tall as Ryohei-san, if not taller. He had black markings around his brown eyes, and a small spiral fell from them like a tear. His short terracotta colored hair was spiked backwards in what looked like a ponytail wrapped in bandages, and he had his entire torso and arms bandaged, with a black shirt buttoned up and open over the bandages. He wore black trousers, with bandages falling on his sides like a half skirt, and his feet bandaged from shin to toes. Both Naruto and Reiko became wide-eyed as the newcomer introduced himself with a poker face and said, Kyubi. Dono, Uzumaki. Sama, it's a pleasure to meet you. He bowed slightly and introduced himself as Kurono Anubisu, one of the 8 angels serving Kami. Sama and the patron lord of the earth. I came upon Kami. Sama's request to explain and also assist Naruto. Sama in any way necessary. He then turned to Naruto. You have recently unlocked an ability of your bloodline that had previously never been unlocked until the chosen one was at least 15, with Kami. Sama being the youngest user. I came to corroborate on her account that you have indeed accomplished so. He then paused. If you would, Naruto. Sama, try to focus on the same feeling you had when you felt the power. Reiko was still Shakeda an angel, no, and angel. While Naruto, not wanting to disturb the angel, nodded and tried to concentrate on the same feelings he had experienced the previous time. I mean, he is one of the strongest beings in existence, possibly as strong as the J. With a determined expression on his face, Naruto's eyes turned brown once more, but this time they were a little clearer. The skin around his arms had also darkened slightly. It appears it is true then, you have undoubtedly unlocked elemental manipulation, albeit a very weak form of it, the angel said, humming a little as Reiko gaped at the sight. Elemental manipulation? He trailed off, saying, Naruto. Sama, I will personally train you in earth manipulation. With enough training you might fully unlock your earth transformation, but it might take years for that to happen, and I have business to attend to. I will come back tomorrow to arrange our training. She wondered a little. You have currently unlocked earth type manipulation, although a very rough form of it. No wonder Kami Sama asked me to come. Without waiting for a response, the angel glowed a bright orange before the glow plunged to the ground with a slight rumbling and the floor cracking. Looking at the results of his earth shunshin, Reiko and Naruto exclaimed, holy shit, holy shit. Damn. Trained by angels and demons. You never cease to surprise me, Naruto, Reiko said, while Naruto scratched the back of his head. Naruto said as he left the room, oh right, Rei-chan, I gotta go take the test with Ryohei. Oh-san, what time is it? When a freaking angel showed up in his room and wanted to train him, Rei was a little taken aback by his lack of interest. She assumed he would be jumping around with excitement, but then she thought, duh, he's met Kami Sama already. He will also be the next god. She shrugged it off and said, it's 10 a.m. I made some breakfast for me, but I made a bit too much, so dig in, as she brought him some bacon and scrambled eggs. Of course an angel wouldn't be as surprising to him now. Oh, he whimpered as he prodded the eggs. No ramen? He pouted. Reiko gave him a flat look before shaking her head. There was no room for argument when she said, "Don't get me wrong, Naruto, ramen is awesome, but you're going to have to eat something more nutritious. Now that I'm here, I'll make sure you do. And yes, I will make sure to purchase supper at the correct price. Besides, don't you want to grow taller?" she asked, giving him a sidelong glance. Reiko laughed at Naruto's antics, but she also served herself and started eating the eggs and bacon. She chewed the bacon and enjoyed the taste, remembering that while inside Naruto, she got to taste the flavors of what Naruto ingested and realized that ramen was still the best thing that had ever happened. However, after years of tasting almost nothing but ramen and almost expired milk, it was monotonous and she missed other foods. Hokage Tower. The elderly man sighed slightly as Hiruzen reviewed the reports of a minor earthquake that appeared to have been localized in the vicinity of Naruto and Reiko's current home. So, Naruto woke up curious. He recovered a lot faster than expected, the old Hokage said, fingering a small orange book beneath his desk, tempted to read it immediately. One Uchiha Itachi said, "Hokage Sama," as he entered the Hokage's office. "Ah, Itachi. What do you require?" When Itachi said, "I've discovered shocking news, Hokage Sama. I propose sealing the room." The Hokage complied after observing his solemn expression. The old Hokage asked the two Anbu who were always stationed in his office to leave, and then he turned on the room's seals, cutting them off from the outside world. "So what is this about, Itachi?" he asked, sitting on his desk once more with a serious expression on his face. "As your request, I've been investigating the strange movements within the Uchiha clan as of late. And I've come upon startling news. It appears that some of them are not completely comfortable with the way the Uchiha's position currently is within the village. They feel they should rule Konoha themselves, and though many are not vocal about it, their intentions and actions have led me to believe that they are planning a coup d'etat, though the date if the plan goes through is still unknown to me," Itachi said while the old Hokage was humming. As he examined the situation, the elderly Hokage asked Itachi, "How many and who are the Uchiha that know of this and or are supportive of it?" "I'm not sure, Hokage-sama. I overheard two Uchiha elders speaking about this, and I believe there is a high possibility that father is in on it as well, and might even be the main instigator. However, the number of people in the plan, as well as their identities, are well kept secret, though I believe mother is unaware of it based on her reaction to father's late behavior. I believe some other families within the compound are also unaware of this movement, though I've yet to correctly identify them." The Hokage continued to hum. "For now, it'd be too risky to make a move, especially not knowing the full details. Itachi, can you somehow get in on their scheme?" "It will be hard, but I suppose I could with some time," Itachi replied. "Perhaps with help of Shisui's special push, I could do it faster, but I fear that he might be in on that scheme." After the Hokage deactivated the seals in the room, he said, "I see. Very well, Itachi. I want you to keep an eye on Fugaku, and try to be let in on their plans, or at least gather enough data on them." Itachi nodded once more before heading out the door. "Oh, and one more thing. Naruto seems to have woken up. Could you check up on him?" he asked. "I'm too old for this type of shit." The elderly ruler sighed as he sat in his chair and looked out the window before grabbing an orange book off his desk. Naruto's house. As he munched on the eggs, Naruto remarked, "So, any idea on what the angel was talking about?" Arc. Angel Naruto, and I believe I do. I read in the palace's library that when alive, deities were this mighty warriors or wise men and women, who could bend the elements to their will. Matter itself was but putty in their hands. I don't know much on the technical details, but I'm sure it'll come to you with time," Reiko said prior to drinking some orange juice. A little perplexed, Naruto inquired, "Libra, when did you go to the library?" "I spent the first 2 years of my life in the demon's royal palace being groomed into the next ruler. I was then forced to learn the entire library by the time I was 3, of course, so I could take over the mantle in my 5th birthday. I bailed out of that when I was 2. I didn't finish the library but did learn a lot of interesting things, like the fact that I'm not the first Kyubi to run away. In fact, Grandpa did it when he was 3 years old. Hey, he came back 10 years later," she said with a grin comparable to Naruto's. Naruto chewed on some bacon and remarked, "You look my age, so you're actually 2 years older than me." She stood up and carried her dishes to the kitchen sink, saying, "I told you the first time we met, I'm timeless. I'm whatever physical age I want to be. I just take upon your age out of commodity and the fact it's close to my actual age." Naruto was shocked by her actions as a toddler and exclaimed, wait, you said you read the library, and you were not even 3. I told you. We demons are born in full power, and capable of thinking correctly by ourselves. Shapeshifting also comes with birth, so I actually took a 10-year-old form so I could hold the books by myself. We demons are very independent beings, seeing as we are born with everything to be that, and demon foxes are no different. Only when a Kyubi is born they must take a 5-year training before taking the throne, she said as she sat on the table in front of Naruto. I see. You demons are very complicated, Naruto remarked as he finished his sustenance. Well, to be 100% truthful, the most complicated ones are the kitsune demons, and the tailed beasts. The rest of them don't really care about much and do whatever they want. That rarely involves humans, but there have been demons that come though the human realm to terrorize around. That's where the humans' fear of demons came from, she told Naruto as he washed the dishes. Reiko was drying his hands when Naruto said, wait, tailed beasts? Like with you being the Kyubi? Are there more demon lords like you? Well, yes, there are in fact 9 tailed beasts. Some have a similar structure to us kitsunes, others don't, but don't worry about them, it's nothing of importance. Besides, I have only met 2 of them, the Ichibi, who was a friend of mine, and the Nanabi, who was kind of like my guardian. Anyway, Rei, I have to get ready for the test with Ryohei. Osan, where is the bathroom? Naruto hummed a little. As Naruto nodded and went upstairs, Reiko said, upstairs, second door to the right. Itachi-ha, she said as she approached the door just before the bell rang, and when the door opened, the previously mentioned Uchiha was standing in front of her. Itachi bowed slightly and said, Reiko-san, Ohayo gozaimasu. I thought Naruto-kun had already woken up. Reiko remarked, a little irritated by Itachi's formality. Ohayo, Itachi. Yes, you're right. He just woke up a couple minutes ago, and he's currently taking a shower. Ah, that is good news indeed. I also came to confirm if this even was in any way related to the microscopic seismic activity that occurred a bit ago. Did you even doubt it? Reiko asked, smiling and raising an eyebrow, which made Itachi smile. Anyway, Naruto wasn't the direct cause of the shake, but he is partially to blame. Maybe after speaking with the Hokage, he will tell you because, to be honest, I find it hard to believe myself. Itachi bowed once more before vanishing in a swirl of leaves. So shall it be. Seeing that Naruto-kun is busy, I shall depart. I'll see both of you later. Good.bye, Reiko.san. Now I guess I'll have to start making plans for Naruto's itinerary. With the basic training and what Kurono.san wants to teach him, he'll be pretty busy. Add the blacksmith lessons he wishes to take and... well, it's a good thing he recovers fast and has a lot of energy. Reiko sighed after Itachi's absence. She then went to her room to carry out her instructions. Later, Naruto exclaimed, Rei-chan, I'm leaving already, I'll return later, as he left the house. The chan thing made her smile a little, but then she said, wait, Naru, and started looking, but he had already left. She sighed slightly, darn that boy, he doesn't even know where this house is or how far it is to the weapon shop. Oh well, his problem. Now where did I put that scroll? I'm sure I left it around here. With Naruto. The house was in a richer area of Konoha, but it was only slightly larger than an upper-class civilian home. It was nothing in comparison to the vast clan compounds or the Uchiha's mini citadel. Naruto pondered, I should have asked Rei the way, as he was lost in a place he barely recognized. Naruto turned to the left and emerged somewhere in the market area, muttering, who was rich enough to afford the land and still prefer a smaller house when built. Although it'd be easier to pay maintenance and when did I started understanding real estate affairs? Darn flashes filling my mind with crap instead of awesome things. He glanced around a little and said, oh, I recognize here, the house is close to the Hyuga compound. So the weapon shop is over there, as he made his way to Higurashi Arms. Later, Naruto greeted the person behind the counter as he entered the store, hi there Tenten, with a big smile and closed eyes. She was truly shocked to see Naruto awake after hearing her father say the day before that he wouldn't be awake for at least a week. I thought you were supposed to be knocked out for a couple more days, she said, getting out of the chair and approaching Naruto's side. He grinned and shrugged, what can I say? I recover very fast, before being struck in the head. As Naruto rubbed the back of his head, Tenten remarked, dumbass, don't go around playing hero like that. You nearly got killed for what I heard. While Tenten was furious, he muttered, that's the second time I get hit on the head. Oh right. I came to see your father Tenten, is he here? Naruto asked, recalling why he had come in the first place. But at least there was no worse threat afterwards. Tenten pointed to the forge's entrance and replied, Dad? Yes. He is in the forge working on some kunai. You want to go see him? Go ahead. As he entered the forge, he said, okay, thanks, Tenten. Tenten sighed and went back to the counter to read a weapons monthly magazine. Hey, Ryohei. Osan, he exclaimed, grinning at the smooth, covered blacksmith, as he entered and saw Ryohei dipping in water with a red-hot kunai. Naruto? I thought you'd be out for a week, come closer, Gaki, said the bearded man, turning to face the young blonde who was beaming broadly at him. As instructed, Naruto shrugged off the statement, I heal very fast, and Ryohei followed suit. He looked at the blade of the kunai he had just made and asked, so what did you come here for, Gaki? Naruto uttered, I came for the test. A little taken aback by the blonde's drive, Ryohei remarked, you came to take the test? I would have thought you would at least take a day or two after you woke up to recover. With obstinate determination, Naruto said, Nah, I'm fine. I can do this. Ryohei sighed and scratched the back of his head a little before turning back to face Naruto. With a wave of his hand, the blacksmith dismissed Naruto, saying, Okay, Gaki, but I have to finish this up. Why don't you go back to the store and help Tenten while I finish? Naruto nodded and left the forge to see how he could assist Tenten. Ryohei shrugged and replaced his goggles before grabbing another iron to create more kunai. Tenten waved back when Naruto stepped outside the forge. I'm going to take the test later. Want me to help you on something in the meantime? Naruto asked. Nah, today has been a slow day, not many clients, Tenten said, shaking her head slightly. Naruto nodded and sat down next to the counter. Later, a woman with some paper bags and dinner entered the store. She was wearing a white skirt, sandals, a brown apron, and a sleeveless light blue vest. Her brown hair was in a bun on the back of her head, with chopsticks crossed in it and long braids hanging down from it. Tenten said, Hi Mom, to her, which surprised Naruto a little. Before turning to face Naruto, the woman said, Hey Chan, I'm home, and I brought the dinner. Ehm. Hiya there kid. She said, then turned to smile at Tenten. Chan, could you come here for a bit? She asked, gesturing for Tenten to approach, and she started whispering in her ears. Tenten exclaimed, flushed, Mom. The woman chuckled a little before whispering back to her, and Tenten whispered back. After a while, the woman pouted a little before smiling and turning to face Naruto. She said, Nice to meet ya. I'm Tenten's sexy mother, Higurashi Hama. Yoroshiku. As she gave Naruto a nice guy pose, and resembled a certain green wearing Junin who sneezed at that precise moment. So you're the Gaki Papa Bear keeps talking about? She asked. He shook her hand and said, Ehm hi. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, Yoroshiku. He paused at her glare and said, Ehm. Nei-san. She nodded, and he exhaled. Anyo. You're Tenten's mother right? He asked, and when she nodded, he went on, does that mean you're the same age as Ryohei? Osan? You look quite young. Hama smiled broadly as Naruto moaned behind him. Ryohei whimpered as she emerged from the forge, for heaven's sake Gaki. I'm only 35. Hama ruffled Naruto's hair and smiled, saying, Shut up old man, except that you're aging properly. I am only a year older than you, how can you age so slowly compared to me, funny tears. The statement, you just age faster Ryo.kun, was made by Hama before she crept over to kiss Ryohei. He held the forge door open and said, Anyway. Naruto, I finished preparations, come to the forge and we'll start. Tenten and Ryohei both paled slightly when she said, Go on Naru-chan, I'll make you two some sandwiches. Naruto heard Ryohei whimper a barely audible, Please don't, before the older man dragged him into the forge, but he said nothing. After closing the door, Ryohei turned to face Naruto and said in a harsh whisper, If you eat those sandwiches they might kill you, so just act like you did and we'll throw them into the fire. He was perspiring a little, and Naruto's eyes widened before he nodded rapidly. Ryohei then nodded and went to the anvil to get some supplies. Okay Naruto, put on this gear, he said, giving Naruto a pair of gloves, goggles, and a smaller version of his own leather apron. After swiftly putting the clothes on, Naruto turned to Ryohei with a slightly curious look. They're Chan's gear, he said, and Naruto accepted the explanation. So what's first Ryohei? Osan? He asked. There is no first Naruto, I'm gonna put you shaping a kunai. Come here and look at me doing it and then I will have you try it, he said as he got some thongs and grabbed something from a pile of red-hot ash. It was a small cube of red metal. He then proceeded to hammer it until it was about twice the length of a kunai. Then he folded it again and kept hammering again. This folding and stretching kept going for a while until he finally smashed it into the shape of a kunai. He dipped the red metal in water and smeared some mud-looking thing along the edges. Once the mud was done, he took some of the sandwiches Hama had brought and tossed them in the ashes. Naruto got wide eyes as flames and sparks erupted from the ashes. Ryohei took the kunai and dipped it into the ablaze ashes and began fanning the flames so they grew. After a while the blade eventually turned bright red. He removed the blade from the ashes and dipped it into the water again. After a bit he took it out and inspected the blade. Nodding for a bit he put it in the table. Now all it needs is sharpening, but that'll be for later. I want you to do the whole thing you saw, Naruto. I'll be watching you, so don't worry. In case anything goes wrong, I'll simply point it out to you. After finishing the shaping, Naruto dipped it in water and Ryohei gave him the mud-like substance. Naruto took it and started brushing the kunai with the substance, but after a while, he put it back in the flames and waited. Knowing that Naruto wouldn't know when to do so, Ryohei took the kunai out as soon as it was ready. Naruto nodded and went on to do the same as Ryohei. Despite his nervousness, he kept doing what was asked of him without saying anything. Not bad, Gaki. You have talent. I might be able to teach you how to do it properly after all. Come on, let's get out of here, Ryohei said, giving the blonde a pat on the back as he exited the forge after giving the kunai a final look and grinning. After a brief conversation with Tenten, Hama and Ryohei said goodbye, and he left. Hama became somewhat serious and asked Ryohei, "So how did it go?" Her husband responded by throwing a dull black kunai at her hands. After examining the iron, she raised an eyebrow and said, "The Gaki really did this. It is rather well made. A few flaws here and there but nothing major. I know, and you know what keeps bothering me." While he was folding the metal, it didn't look forced like most of the people do. His technique was more fluid, like the metal was flowing into shape rather than being hammered into it, he said as he fiddled with his beard. Ryohei interrupted her as Hama arched an eyebrow at her husband and said, "Flowing? You think he might have the..." He appeared to narrow his eyes a little as he said, "I don't know yet, but it seems similar to the tails. Perhaps he might, but I'm not sure. Time alone can tell the answer." Hama nodded and walked away, turning to face Naruto as he retreated. "I wonder if you could have it, Naruto. The lost ability," he whispered, and Tenten, who was waving goodbye at the blonde, turned to face him. Ryohei shook his head when she said, "Did you say something, Daddy?" "Nah, it's nothing, princess. Let's just go to the kitchen before your mother decides to prepare the food." After Naruto's initial training encounter with the Archangel, which took place 2 months ago, he learned that Anubisu was just as much of a slave driver as Rei was. Flashback. West of Konoha, Naruto and Anubisu had reached a small valley with little vegetation and the canyon's massive rock walls enclosing them. The Archangel eventually dropped the honorary and adopted a more stern tone, which Naruto would later christen as Sensei mode. "Very well, Naruto. Sama, I am to teach you about the elements. What can you tell me about the elements, Naruto?" "I heard there are 5 elements, fire, earth, water, wind, and lightning, sir," Naruto said, a little unsteady under the Archangel's stare. The Archangel nodded but continued to narrow his eyes. "Very well, but you're wrong. You see, there are a total of 8 elements that make up everything that exists, and that lightning one is not really an element. It's a worldwide, very weakened, Kekkei Genkai 1. But that is beside the point, and since I am going to teach you about only one of the elements, the rest are not of my concern. I am going to be teaching you about the earth," he said while Naruto nodded. Earth is an element that forms part of the physical plane, and like all elements it has certain characteristics. How headstrong you are is a fundamental part of earth, for like a mountain you must be unmovable. Earth has the ability to harden anything. So first we shall start by hardening your own body, Anubisu insisted. After nodding, Naruto was asked almost immediately, Anubisu-san, how are we going to harden my body?" He later regretted his question after learning the response. With a sly smile, Anubisu responded to Naruto's query by saying, "Why, Naruto-san? We are going to train you." His tone was frightfully sweet. Naruto was aware of the man's angel status based on his use of the word train. In the background, he could have sworn he heard cries of agony and cries of torture, and he didn't like that at all. "We'll begin by striking this rock over here," he said, raising his hand, and a boulder the size of a man rose up next to him. When Naruto saw the rock appear, he was amazed and focused. Anubisu asked, "Remember that energy you felt back then?" Naruto nodded and went on, "Try focusing then very energy and do as I do," before he stood in front of the boulder. The Archangel stepped forward and struck the boulder with his fist after taking a firm stance and exhaling. Naruto did not anticipate that the boulder would be blown away by the force of the blow. Instead, it broke into dust and fragments as it struck a rock wall, leaving Naruto slack. jawed. Now you try Naruto, the archangel said, gesturing to the new boulder, which Anubisu had conjured up, though it was somewhat smaller and roughly the size of Naruto. After giving a nod, Naruto moved to face the boulder and attempted to conjure the same energy from earlier. He opened his eyes and performed the same action Anubisu took on the rock after he had last experienced the familiar feeling of the odd chakra. It was unsuccessful. Rather, Naruto was flung backward from the boulder after his hands bones broke, and even though his chakra quickly healed him, the pain was unbearable. Great, this is going to take some time, Anubisu sighed as he turned to face Naruto. End, flashback. As the phantom pains from those terrible sharp rocks attacked Naruto's arm, he shuddered. He paused to observe his surroundings, realizing how much his life had changed in the 3 months since his last birthday. He then got out of bed, brushed his yellow hair, and prepared to start a new day. He gathered his belongings and hurried to the restroom so that Chan wouldn't arrive first. Hokage Tower. Come on in, was the old Hokage's response to a soft knock on the doors to his chambers. Hiruzen was filling out paperwork when the sound was drowned out. The door slowly opened, and Uchiha Itachi entered, most likely to report on the Uchiha's plans. However, the Hokage noticed that young Itachi appeared to be worried and he was a little afraid and wanted to know why, so he sealed the room as soon as Itachi entered. Hokage. Sama, I'm afraid I bring dire news, about 2 things that might just bring the end of Konoha. I was finally invited a week ago to the Uchiha clan, and it is as we suspected, they are planning a coup d'etat, your assassination, and forcibly place Fugaku as Hokage, Itachi stated with contempt for his father. I discovered the full length of the people in the plan and apparently no one else is even aware of the clan's intentions. Many family members of mine are innocent and that includes mother, stated Itachi. The Hokage nodded sorrowfully. He and Itachi already knew this, but he was still saddened by its confirmation. However, his sorrow vanished when he saw Itachi's anguished expression. The Hokage's pipe dropped to the ground as Itachi concluded, the other thing Hokage. Sama, I think that Uchiha Madara is still alive and that he has contacted me in hopes I help him eliminate the clan. Madara remains alive. Madara has not died. Holy dollar hash. 7, the Hokage thought. Naruto's house. As Naruto ate a bowl of cereal, Reiko questioned him, so have those lessons on smithing been useful so far? Naruto wolfed down the cereal and remarked, yeah, according to Ryohei Osan, I have lots of talent. He keeps telling me I have a gift for smelting and such. She said hesitantly, really, and how about your training with Kurono? Sama, as Naruto started to tremble the last time she brought him up. Well, to be honest it's not going all perfect but I have a firm grasp on the form, Naruto said, shuddering and rubbing his hand. Anubisu. Sensei says the problem is that I keep trying to control Earth, instead of becoming the Earth, and I still don't know what that means, but I guess I'll figure it out eventually, he said as he took another bowl. Rei was aware of what the Archangel was attempting to teach Naruto, but she chose to let him figure it out on his own without offering any advice. She saw Naruto grinning brightly, but she was still unsure of where the boy got his energy. She had witnessed him working late into the night on his room, doing tasks and creating blueprints for things she didn't know about. Even though an Archangel was torturing him and teaching him how to smite, he still found time to play in the park with her and a few other girls he started befriending. A blue-haired girl who was constantly flushed, a blonde girl who wouldn't leave him alone, and her younger sister who was constantly staring at him like an idol while flushed herself. She observed that the Yamanaka kept giving her curious, covert looks, clearly wondering why Reiko was always with Naruto. Reiko would play with everyone, but only because Naruto did. Hyuga, the oldest, was far too shy for her own good, but at least she was emerging from her shell with Naruto's assistance, and Reiko got along well with her. Last but not least, the younger Hyuga was quite talkative and gregarious. She would constantly blush cutely whenever Naruto was around her, and Reiko even overheard her murmur a drowned Keshi-san, too. She was awakened from her reverie by the sound of dishes falling from Naruto's sink. Rei-chan, today is Saturday. I have no lessons with Ryohei Osan nor with Anubisu. Sensei, I'm going to go upstairs to the study to keep working on my project, said Naruto. Knowing the answer, Reiko asked, are you gonna tell me what it is now? As he ran upstairs, Naruto called out, nope, with a smile. It's a surprise for both of us, something that when finished will be very awesome. Reiko was shocked when he told her that his project was for her as well. She wasn't sure how to react, and to be honest, it only piqued her interest more. She couldn't wait for him to finish it. I'll do them later, it's not like that will kill me, Reiko thought as she got up and emptied her dishes in the sink after nodding. Naruto's study. Naruto smiled as he continued reading and making notes about the sealing books and scrolls he discovered in that room. Kami.ne. Thanks for the huge luck you gave me in finding this place. Despite being unable to work on his so-called project at the moment, he was reading at his table while holding a disassembled device, remembering the day he discovered the room. Flashback. After returning from Ryohei's test, Naruto was exploring the house. It wasn't a mansion, but it wasn't small either. It also appeared to be somewhat old and somehow occupied, and he discovered a lot of equipment and other items. He discovered a number of strange weapons, including a pair of strange-looking bladed weapons that resembled daggers but were held as if one were to punch them, and a bunch of odd-shaped kunai with 3 points, but nothing that would reveal anything about the previous owner. 3. There were 3 floors in the house, Naruto noticed as he was walking around it. The lower floor featured a living room, kitchen, guest room, and a small bathroom, as well as the entrance to a cellary. The second floor contained Naruto's room, Rei's room, and another bathroom. It was the same size as his previous apartment and included an additional guest room. However, the upper floor was a different story. It featured a medium-sized bathroom, a tiny armory, dojo where he discovered the strange weapons, and another room that was filled with books about sealing. This room ultimately became Naruto's study. Oddly enough, Naruto was the only one allowed entry to the study space. Rei reported feeling lightheaded and a little exhausted after spending some time there, while the Hokage and everyone else felt worse whenever they approached the third floor. Naruto used the deadly puppy face jutsu and said, "Nei Jiji, if you guys can't be here, can I? I don't feel bad and it's a waste to let the place go unused." His eyes were very sad, made even more potent for the blonde's dazzling dark violet eyes. The elderly Hokage was forced to accept that not only was his jutsu flawless, but that the Kyubi no Yoko was smirking at him from a distance while cuddling with the cute chibi. Naruto somewhat coerced his hand. Flashback. End. In place of this, Naruto decided he could use the third floor for himself. He started studying in the book-filled room and practicing the taijutsu techniques Anubisu was occasionally teaching him, along with the chakra control techniques Itachi had given him the other day in the dojo. Naruto had been studying seals and a lot of other things, but when he released Reiko, he only had a basic understanding of them because of his flash. Even then, he only moved the Shikifuin to allow Reiko to escape, leaving him with a large empty area in his mindscape and a strong lock that was not in use. He checked shortly after releasing Rei and found that the seal in his stomach was still there, albeit empty. Among other things, he was trying to figure out how to get rid of the seal. His primary project, however, was something he had seen in another flash, and that, if he could adapt in this world with the aid of a better understanding of seals and smithing, could be among the century's greatest combat inventions, possibly even more advanced than what the fabled Snow Country could produce for some time. Every time he visited Ryohei's shop, he asked him to fabricate specific components for his invention. Naruto had so far put half of the device he intended to construct together and continued designing the remaining parts, but he was running into difficulties with some of them. For this reason, he was studying sealing in order to try to solve the issues. Naruto rubbed his temples and exclaimed, this is so darn troublesome." Somewhere else. All of the Nara clan's male members sneezed simultaneously, and one boy with pineapple hair fell backwards from the chair he was sitting in because he sneezed so forcefully. Even though his son did push the board when he sneezed, Nara Shikaku reprimanded him, saying, "Darn it, Shikamaru, you messed the board." As she watched her husband accuse her son of something he primarily did, Nara Yoshino grabbed a frying pan because she would not tolerate this. Later, Shikaku would go to the hospital after suffering a head injury. Back at Naruto's study, before his eyes grew enormous, Naruto said, "Well, maybe if I use this array here, but how am I going to make it solid enough like that?" He frantically turned pages until he eventually found what he was looking for, saying, "Of course, that's it." Naruto started reading that page intently and said, "Yes, with this I'll be able to go over that problem. Not the only thing needed is to make the seals, adapt them, and put the thing together. After that it'll be easy to make more." Downstairs. When Reiko heard Naruto's excited voice in the living room, she couldn't help but smile. Before puffing up her cheeks, she said, "He gets so excited with every little breakthrough he has with that project of his. Wish he would tell me what it is though," she said, turning to face the window. "What a lovely day," she said. "I'll go to the pond," and then she walked outside into the backyard's little pond, where she sat on a bench and watched the koi fish swim. She grabbed some fish food from the bucket next to the bench and started throwing it into the pond, saying, "They're hilarious when they splash the water. Oh, look at me, I'm 10 years old, and I'm behaving like an elderly woman. Naruto has been looking a little pale lately, so perhaps I should bring him out to play." Keeping that in mind, she entered the house once more and pulled Naruto from his study despite his cries and yells. Once he had calmed down, they played games like tag. At first, Naruto was irritated, but as they played together and he chased Reiko, he couldn't help but laugh. Damn, I was starting to feel like the old man, all day stuck doing paperwork. Note to self. Thank Ray-chan later, Naruto said. They continued playing until Naruto became hungry in the afternoon, at which point they agreed to go to Ichiraku's for ramen, after some convincing from Naruto. You know Naruto, Reiko said, pausing briefly before continuing, I made a decision and I'm not changing my mind. Raising an eyebrow, Naruto motioned for her to go on. Naruto's eyes widened when she said, I'm not going back to Makai. However, before he could say anything, she interrupted, saying, No, Naruto. I am staying by your side no matter what. I made your life an inferno while you were little, and you've given me nothing but kindness and something very valuable, your friendship. I might be an empress back there and most powerful demon amongst all, but it's so lonely. My friends hardly visited me when I was there, yet here. She stopped. Here I am with you all the time, and I know my friends also came here. I can feel them somewhere in the human realm. I am sure we'll meet them eventually. She continued and grasped Naruto's arm. But until then, and after then, I want to stay with you. She blushed slightly. Naruto grinned broadly and hugged Ray-chan, saying, Thanks for being my friend when no one else wanted to, and I shall be by your side forever as well. After gathering his thoughts and dusting off his clothes, Naruto grinned and pulled her away from her hand in the direction of Ichiraku. Now let's go. Ramen awaits, he said. As they made their way to the ramen stand, Reiko grinned and thought, at least I know I won't get bored with him around. The old Hokage asked his Anbu, wearing a raven mask, so the Uchiha are going to set their coup plans back for a while, huh? The Anbu nodded and answered. He bowed to his Hokage and the person who truly remained loyal to him, saying, Yes, I am not sure when they are planning it now, but the delay stems from the Hyuga incident apparently. He added sadly, it's probably due to the heightened patrol around the village rather than any concern on the village's welfare. The elderly leader drew breath from his pipe and asked, What about Shisui? Do you believe he will join us in retraining the Uchiha rebellion? I am not sure, Hokage. Sama Shisui is like any other Uchiha in his arrogance, but he loves the village more than the clan. After all, his arrogance stems from his skill, not his name, Itachi replied. As it should be, and as it is with you as well, though I can say you are far from the arrogant person. Sarutobi replied, Still. If you are unsure, how about talking with him outside the village? I am going to give you both a mission to stop a few bandits that are terrorizing the ports of Akabudushu city. Take that opportunity to talk to him, and if he openly refuses, use your genjutsu to make him forget about it. The elderly Hokage replied. He removed his mask and said, Very well, Hokage. Sama, should I go get him? The Hokage nodded, and he disappeared. Despite being the most powerful shinobi in the village, the elderly man was clearly exhausted, as evidenced by his sigh. I only hope we can settle this without much bloodshed. I wonder, the Hokage said, turning to gaze sorrowfully at the frames containing the images of his ancestors and his deceased successor. What would you have done, Minato, if you had been in my shoes? His voice was tired and sad as he spoke. As Naruto faced his opponent, he was perspiring profusely and gushing blood in multiple areas. His opponent's dreadful aura was enough to knock most people to their knees, but he refused to give up and stayed upright, causing his eyes to turn brown and his skin to darken around his extremities. He was channeling the power of earth and was still extremely exhausted. How? Concerning it? Reiko. Sensei. Is it superior? Naruto said through dragged breath, still withstanding his red-headed friend's hellish training. Not bad, Naruto, but you are still lacking heavily, she said, reprimanding the blonde. Your defense is shot through the skies once you channel the energy of earth, and you should be able to take my punches straight on without getting hurt. Even though I am holding back, are you still getting this much damage? She expressed a little disappointment, saying, It will definitely take a lot of time for you to master your earth mode. Despite her sigh, she went on, still. She then relaxed her stance and approached Naruto, saying, Come on, it was enough for today, Naruto, as his hands glowed red. Let me just patch you up, she said. The truth is that most likely it will take you years of training to even be able to use this earth mode proficiently in combat. As he allowed the red glow on Rei's hands to heal his wounds, Naruto let out a breath he was unaware he had been holding. Not to be unappreciative, but you seriously don't know how to hold back, Ray-chan, Naruto remarked. I really don't like the fact that fatigue is not healed by chakra, Naruto said, rubbing his sore arms. I will take a nap for a while once we reach home, he added, as Reiko rolled her eyes at his comment. After Naruto was healed, they went home a little unsteady. Naruto arched an eyebrow in response to her statement. Stop complaining. At least you're getting stronger. As you are now, you could beat a graduated genin. Hold on a minute. I just beat the living daylights out of a Junin, didn't I? He questioned, and Reiko gave him a bored look in return. You're aware that you were fortunate at the time, right? We trained so hard because, although luck was on your side at the time, you can't rely on it forever. Your major wounds are healed by yourself. I heal your cuts and bruises, and your own stamina helps overtrain you. You are significantly getting stronger through my training, however. Hellish. You might say it is, she told him, and you can't even control the massive amount of chakra you have. How will you expect to beat even a seasoned genin? As Naruto puckered his cheeks in frustration, she chuckled a little. When they arrived home, they discovered Itachi waiting for them at the door. Itachi. Why are you here? Since he didn't have training with Itachi that day, Naruto inquired. Actually Naruto-kun, I am going on a mission, so I won't be able to continue your training. I probably won't be back until next month, maybe more, but since you have more free time now, I enrolled you in the academy. You start on Monday, and so does my little brother Sasuke. Could I ask you to look after him? He's got the arrogance of Uchiha, so I am sure he'll get in trouble. To Naruto's disbelief. I also heard that various clan children are joining this period as well, such as the Hyuga and Yamanaka girls. Itachi laughed at Naruto's disbelief. Hold on. Actually, I'm heading to the academy right now. Formally. With his jaw hanging loose, Naruto said, that is fantastic. He yelled immediately afterwards. Riken. I intend to become a ninja. How awesome is that? Shaking his former tenant, he asked. You are aware that you will become a god, aren't you? I mean, I guess being a ninja is cool for a human, but aren't you more excited about being a freaking god? Besides, Ray said, raising an eyebrow. You will only be attending the academy, and you won't be able to become a ninja until you are 13, she continued. Well yeah, being a god is cool, but being a ninja has been my dream since I was little, so it has a little more impact really. Besides, I already got over that shock before Kami. Nichan told you I was to be the next god, he said in a more serious tone. Anyway Naruto, now that you're an academy student, you can no longer be trained by me since it would be too much of an advantage in official records. However, you can still take your extra lessons with Reiko-san since she's not actually listed as a kunoichi of Konoha, and the lessons she gives you could be considered clan related. However, I do have one last piece of advice to give you before you enter academy, Itachi said in order to draw the attention of Reiko and Naruto. Naruto, take it from me that being the best there is not a glamorous path when it comes to ninja. I am not telling you to not aim for Rookie of the Year, but I ask of you to remain cautious as to what you show. If you really want to be Rookie of the Year, act like you're actually struggling for the title rather than just take it as a breeze, lest you attract the attention of the wrong kind of people, Itachi said as he knelt and touched Naruto's back. Well, I have to go get ready for my mission, so I'll see you around, Naruto, and good luck. Itachi stood up and vanished in a swirl of leaves. So, what will you do now, Naruto-kun? Reiko opened the door to the house and said, I will do everything in my power to support you, no matter what you decide. Yes, Itachi. Is correct. To Reiko's amusement, he returned to his hyperactive manner and said, Hey Ray-chan, do you want to help me buy the supplies for Ninja Academy? I can't handle the excitement. I will try to go for the Rookie of the Year title, but I'm going discreetly about it. I guess I should postpone to finish my project at least until things calm down from school. As they started to walk to the market area, she thought, oh Naruto-kun, you never cease to amuse me. Was he not like dead tired a minute ago? She smiled. Takai, what is it? You seem to be struggling lately. Is your job getting to be too much for you? Someone wearing a black cloak with black rings around his eyes said. I feel like I'll have to go pick up a lot of souls soon, but other than that, I'm fine. Anubisu. A man wearing a white yukata and long white hair replied, I can feel it in my bones. In your Takai, you sound like an elderly man. It's completely out of style with your appearance. A third voice said, more lightheartedly, and a young boy wearing a black Shaolin robe with a bright green sash and terracotta colored hair emerged this time. The white-clad man said, so says you Fengling, you look the youngest of us. With a broad, Naruto-like smile, the young man declared, I aim to please my friend. All right, Itachi. Again, where are we heading? Despite his wild mane of curly hair, Shisui Uchiha tried not to appear too unkempt. "I forgot," he said. "I sigh." Itachi rubbed his temples and remarked, "There are moments when I wonder what I did to deserve to have to drag you around in practically every mission. Dude, you're stuck with me, for the most part. How is the little pheasant doing? Is training going well?" His friend continued massaging his temples as he asked.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.